Interesting. Well, hello, crime stoppers. I had to say some. Actually, so much to talk about. It's crazy. Oh, look. Oh, wait, can I do it? That's cool because I'm looking on the. Okay, there we go. There it is. Yeah, there you have it. Anybody that tells you that flag law doesn't matter in the USC, they're a liar. And for some of you, oh, that might mean something. Maybe that means something. Maybe it means nothing. 22. And the battle flag of the corporation. Okay, so much to talk about. 9 years ago today, I was in LA. Went to the Getty, went to LACMA, went all over the place. It's oops, I gotta go turn off the stove one fast one because of course I start the video and then I gotta turn off the stove. But no, it's a bright sunny day in Phoenix. It's bright and sunny out there. Lovely skies, and today no chemtrails. Been freaking chemtrailing us like crazy lately, but today just bright blue skies and it's fucking 57 degrees out there. So doing a little baking. Hold on, I'll be right back. It only take 2 seconds. Okay. See, it's an old trick I learned from an Indian. Let's see. So you put some pans in the oven, and then you put the hot pans, because this is now 350 degrees, and you put it on the tile floor, and it warms the area. And that gets warm, and now it won't be so freaking cold in here. And the house is like 70. What? The regular Arizonans, this is what temperature their house is at in the summertime, because they don't like the heat like we. My girlfriend and I, we save all kind of money because our thermostat is set at just like 82. So we cool it down from like 100 and whatever the hell it is to down there. Anyway, but yeah, 9 years ago, I was in LA. I just took a picture of the Hollywood sign and the blaze that's behind it. I stood up there where that fire is now raging, and hiked down that side of the Pacific Palisades. Gone. You'll notice the title of the thing is intentional, because you got to be silly if you think that. Did we warn you after Lahaina? Did we warn you after Lahaina? We warned you after Lahaina. And see, and then what they're trying to say is they're making it so that you focus on the fact that, well, gee, all the fire chiefs are gay lesbians. So what? So what? This does not mean that they had nothing to do with it. Them being gay and lolly licking rug munchers doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they expect when they're guys, when they're people, when they're persons, when they're fire persons, hook up their fucking hoses, there should be water there. They kind of expect that. That's I'm pretty confident that there's somebody else in charge of the water. And then you're going to find out that just like in Lahaina. Okay, so we get modus operandi. First, and I know this is crazy talk. First, high winds, super high winds. Lahaina, LA, Portugal, Greece. Frick, it's starting to pile up. And then fires. And they don't want to talk about the fact that in Los Angeles, and one more thing I wanted to say. Got notes over here. My oldest boy is a firefighter. He's a fire jumper. He fights forest fires. He made a fuck ton of money because they pay you because you can die pretty well. And it was the second season, so he was a veteran. So he was actually getting a little more pay. And they worked his ass. And I tell you that story because he has some things to say. And so did all the other people, guys that have been fighting fires for 40 fucking years or 30 years or whatever the hell it is about Lahaina. But neither here nor there, because, conspiracy theory. Oop, I said it out loud. Now the fucking channel here says that you can't, really, they're going to tell me what words I can use in America. Oh, no, we're not in America. This is U.S. corporations. Anyway, and U.S. corporations, the crimes are commercial, everything. But wait, I'll get there later. This is going to be a long one because I haven't been on for a while. Some things have happened. And more things are going to happen. One thing he said about having women, it's like black belts. Guys do martial arts. But one thing he said about having women on the crews out there fighting fires, and some of you people will know this from way back in the day, black people, actual black people, not Kamala Black, but I mean, real niggas with real problems. You had to be twice as good to be considered half as good. He didn't mind having women on the line because them women could handle. They could hump, right? Same thing. You ever meet a black belt in any fucking martial art that's a woman? That's a hell of a woman because she didn't get to that black belt fighting just women, right? Okay, so this whole thing about the women in the fire department. Okay, yeah and no, because I'll tell you, if they're in the fire department, I don't know if they laxed the rules or not, but in most fire departments, if it's a woman, that bitch knows what she's about because she's discriminated against like you wouldn't believe. And don't fucking tell me different. Anyway, so the fact that the fire chiefs are gay lesbians, so what? This whole fucking thing was intentional, and they don't want to talk about really no water in the hydrants. Really, the reservoirs are dry. Really, and okay, I'm a capitalist, unabashed, unashamed capitalist. It's the best system we've got going. Period. Anybody that fucking tells you different is an idiot socialist. 100 million dead under socialism. Ask the idiot socialists. When the Berlin Wall came down, who ran to which side? You fucking dummies. Anyway, so what's going on in LA can happen and has happened and will happen in other places if things don't change here pretty quick. But you're trying to call this an accident. Now, here's the other thing. Many reports, see, and I'm so pissed at this whole fucking thing because I don't want, as Gavin Newsom says, that we should only be getting our official sources. I don't want to see fucking ABC, CBS, and I don't want to see any of the bullshit. What I want to see is citizen journalists on their motorcycles riding around. I want to see citizen journalists on their bikes riding around. I want to see that. I don't fucking care what the news, because they're going to be whispering, oh, this was completely an accident. Oh, wildfires caused by climate change and wildfires and climate change. Look, what you're looking at is wildfires and climate change and wildfires. Look, it's a wildfire caused by climate change. I don't want to fucking hear any of that shit. What I want to hear is guys on the ground talking about, what's happening and showing anomalies. Lots. Play if you're into it, and I can hardly do it because watching it is hard on the mind because I've been to all these places. I know people in Lahaina that have lost businesses and homes, and now I know people in LA that have lost businesses and homes. Anyway, everything gone. A lot of photographs, recipes, everything gone. Like that. So when I was talking about the videos probably have been taken down, but if you go back in a few videos, I've been talking about preparedness and grab and go bags and all that kind of stuff forever. And look, LA, not out in the woods someplace, not out in the hinterlands of the red hats. No, in LA. You could have used a grab and go bag. And like I said, 9 years ago, I was there. I was supposed to just be there for a couple of weeks, and I just kept staying. And actually, this caused some problems between me and my sons because I wound up staying for like fucking 7 months before I finally got back. But I saw them the day I got back. I was playing with my boys. Anyhow, in that 7 months, did we get a bill or a electric bill or a water bill or any bill with like a evacuation plan on it or any kind of emergency disaster, anything in the 7 months that I was there? I was in NoHo. Nothing. Right? People literally didn't fucking know what to do. And then they wound up leaving their cars. And then because the state owns those cars, because you register them to the fucking state, so they can dispense with their property they really want. You have usufruct of the property, but you fucking gifted it to the state when you did your registration. So they just fucking start bulldozing the cars out of the way on Sunset. But see, the people didn't fucking know what to do. But unlike Lahaina, at least the cops were like, get the fuck out of your cars and get out of here. You're going to burn to death. Whereas in Lahaina, they were like, I don't know, right? We still haven't figured out who gave what order. But the boys said they were just following orders. And people burned to death. That's a whole other issue. I was on the island at the time, by the way. So I know what I speak. And I was in a Hawaiian neighborhood with Hawaiians that had relatives who had houses that burned to the fucking ground on the other side of the mountain. Because Hawaiians, some of them live Lahaina, some of them live in Hawaiian homes. Anyway, now the people in LA and the people in Lahaina have much in common. Maybe you will listen now when we say, prepare. Brah, you live in one place where Democrats running the fucking show. You could be in danger. Okay. I get all kind of notes here. I want to talk some math. I want to talk about words, right? Definitions of words. It's a wildfire caused by climate change. Maybe it was because, arson caused by, hostile gangs and perhaps people funded by the United Nations. Some guy gets caught red-handed, happens to have a UN debit card. What? And they let him go. Of course they let him go. They had to let him go. And I don't want to say why they had to let him go. But if you know, I can't even point to the thing. It's over here. All right, there it is. Backwards. But if you know, they had to let him go. But your UN debit card is kind of a clue. Many stories. See, and this is why I don't like, listen, BS, BS, or any of them contains no news, whatever. Because many people were talking about gangs of guys in cars setting fires. People evacuate because high winds and fires. And then when they evacuate, they bust in the house and take shit before it burns down. Plenty of stories like this. This is not conspiracy theory. Many stories like this. You can find them right here on the tubes. Okay, so it has dawned on some people. Season's greetings. Oh, ole makahiki o. It is already the new year, 12 days in. And it's going to be polycrisis now, from now until for quite a while. But I'm telling you, this ain't over. And none of this ends until the ropes go taut. And we got to talk about definitions of words. I want to do some math. I know you guys hate doing math, but I got to do some math. We got to talk about standard deviations and understanding what we're talking about. Because a lot of you guys failed algebra, so you never got to statistics. And they took, it used to be statistics was, you could get some statistics in high school. Now, only private schools will give you statistics in high school. You have to go to university to get statistics from a regular school. Because it's not even 99% not even offered in public high schools. So when we're talking about standard deviations and the fact that something happened and now we have excess deaths at incalculable. Like you can't even calculate it. It's like 40 standard deviations. But let's talk about standard deviations. What you got here is a hump. Oh, I was supposed to. Oh, and just by the by, I now compose and everything on paper because every keystroke is logged. So the only time I write stuff on here is when I want them to know about it. And I forgot to do this. I was supposed to do this ahead of time. All right. This is a bell curve. Hope you can see it. You know what I need is a pen. Russell, you get a pen right there. Shall I make it? We'll make it in blue. All right. And then this way you're not getting me some pause. All right. There you go. Oh. Okay. Look how I enjoy. Look how I enjoy. I enjoy them. And see, I never make axes, so don't trust me because no more even axis. But anyway, this is a bell curve, and this would be the mean. And from here to there are standard deviations. And by the time you get out here, let's say 3 standard deviations from mean, and I'm not going to draw it all in and do the math, but 3.84 depends on who you talk to and who you want. Okay, let's just call it 4. We'll round up, which is actually a big rounding. But 3.8 to 4 standard deviations is the chance that you're going to get hit by lightning. Been hit by lightning in your lifetime? That's just 3.8 standard deviations from mean. Okay, let's talk about 5 standard deviations from mean. That's the chances that a regular pair like me, I'm 6 feet, and a girlfriend that's 5, 7 or whatever, have a baby that's 7 feet tall. Any of you having a baby that's 7 feet tall, that would be like 5 standard deviations, because 7 foot tall people are not common in the population. And then 10 standard deviations would be like Jay-Z and Beyonce having a 9 foot tall Thanos. That would be 10 standard. That would be about how likely that would be. Okay. See, and freaking guys he's talking math. We're out of here. All right. So something happened where it was way past 10 standard deviations from mean when it came to excess deaths. And 5 billion people were, what's the words we want? The words we want are that those who wish to be deceived. That's their attitude. So 5 billion out of the 7 to 8 billion people on the planet, if you believe any of this, their numbers, at this point it becomes, rather tenuous as to how much is true and how much is just complete bullshit in this matrix. But anyway, 5 billion chose to be deceived. Out of those 5 billion, okay. So this is why when fuckwits come to, like, say, my math page, Crouton Ramon's House of Math, and start talking shit about, being anti this or pro that, when it comes to, the stuff we can't talk about here on the Free Speech channel. We're going to talk about that too, because I got some issues with some free speech people. Because, you mentioned the fact that the FBI has a DUNS number. You can look that up. You can go to the DUNS site and look up and then they ban you, call you a troll. You need to know who the FBI is. Anyway. And if they were worth their salt, they might investigate the fact that something happened wherein 2 world wars worth of people no stay. They're gone. They've gone elsewhere. Yeah, come back and hit the thing at 2 times speed. Because I'm all kind of pregnant pauses because I'm picking my words and having to self-censor, and also just I haven't made a video in a while, and it's difficult because there's so damn much to talk about. And, I'm like Johnny Bravo and a few others where, go off in all kind of different tangents constantly. But I'm trying to stay on track here. But just think, if it's 5 billion and just a small number, like 18%, have some kind of reaction. but even just smaller than that, have a serious reaction and actually mock it. That's a hell of a large amount of people. So, like I said, World War I and World War II combined is how many people have gone missing in the last 4 years. And now everybody's perplexed. Why are there so many cars in the car lots? Why is so many houses being listed? Existing homes. Sales are down, but listings are up. How could that be? After we just lost in 4 years the same amount that you would that we measured, or if you can believe those numbers, in a world war with mustard gas and machine guns and trench warfare, and another world war with nuclear weapons dropped on Christians in Japan. We don't want to talk about that. Where did they drop that thing? Anyway, why was it Hiroshima and Nagasaki and not Tokyo? Why was it? And it could have been the outskirts of Tokyo, but no. Anyway, see, like I said, squirrel. But the idea is, we're missing that many people. Talk to a Russian on how many fucking people died. Right? We don't even fucking conceive of the losses that the Russians took. Okay, all of that, plus World War I, and we can't figure out why there's pilot shortages, teacher shortages. There's shortages of people. We're mystified. I see no one anywhere in alternative media talking about the fact that people are fucking missing. Good thing they came out with AI just in time to replace a lot of them jobs. But I don't know. What the fuck, people? We live in make pretend world now. Everybody make pretend. We make pretend it's okay that I can't say certain things here. We make pretend that it's all legit. We make pretend that silver should be $30. Want to talk about silver? Sell shit and buy silver. Right? There's a Haitian that will buy your cat, I'm sure. You can get a few dimes for right at that currently, maybe one dime for your cat. But anyway, sell shit, do something, take on an extra job, and use every bit of it to buy silver. Bro, you guys have no idea what's coming, apparently, because for a lot of people, this is crazy talk. Silver, you've been talking about silver for 20 years. Yes, I have. And to use a metaphor with Johnny Bravo, they have stretched the thing, and it's about to go kashoom, like you. And it changes, and it's part of the plan, which is why the Russians and the Japanese and the Indians and everybody is not just gold but silver. Go look how much the Indians bought in silver. Go look. The Russians now have decided to step into the game. I don't know if that's just, talking, or if they're actually going to try and, but we know for a fact. Okay. And you can ask the guys in Idaho, because I went to a silver summit and looking like me, and everybody else there was white. Man, I mean, everybody else there was white. I met the Magambu Guru. I met Bix Silver. I met all these people. Because I went to, I think, a couple of silver summits. But anyway, point being is I made some contacts that I've kept, and them silver miners is smart enough not to pull silver out of the ground at this fucking ridiculous price. So they're literally doing, growing vegetables. They're doing other shit until such time. And guess what? Tomorrow, the price of silver goes to $100. Let's just say $100. Crazy, right? Crazy talk. But let's say it triples from where it is now and a little more. Doubles from its all-time high when it got to 50. Just gets to 100. And they all decide, all right, fucking it. Now it's $100. We're going to start mining silver. They ain't fucking turning anything into silver that you could buy for 5 or 6 years, 10 years. If they fucking put a shovel in the ground tomorrow. So for a little while, it's going to be unobtainium. Just for a little while, because everybody is going to want it and nobody going to have it, because we are now in deficits and we are at the end of the road when it comes to I got this piece of paper here that says I own an ounce of silver. Could I have my ounce of silver, please? And they're going to say, yeah, there's like 400 other guys with a piece of paper that says the same thing, and there's only this 1 ounce of silver. I don't know what's going to happen to the price, but it's probably not going to stay at 30. Let's just say that. Also, talking about silver, the whole reason, if you never figure them out by now, so I'll go tell you, that they came up with the shitcoins and the bitcoins and the crypto and the blockchain technology is good, but the shitcoins and stuff, the whole point of that is to keep Gen Z, the gens down from buying that ancient, useless relic. I mean, it's, we just call it precious metal, but I mean, pay no attention to that. It's completely of no use. So buy crypto, buy Fartcoin. Have you seen the fucking valuation of Fartcoin? It's fucking awesome. Okay, but Bitcoins, you need, I don't have any in my pocket handy. Anyway, I'm not going to get them. You know what they look like. Oh, wait, no, I have to get them this time. Yes, I must. Oh, yes, I guess I'll check them. Uh-oh. Oh, maybe they're in this pocket. Oh, yes, they are. Okay. Oh, look, and I have this because I now never leave the house, because one of the things that they accused me of was being a pauper because I only had slave script in my pocket. But I did have silver in the room. I just didn't have it in my pocket because they tricked me. Oh, come down and sign these papers. Okay, so, see, now I can do, okay. Would you rather have, if you're trying to make something, would you rather have this or this? This piece of paper that says, hey, I like to make some stuff and I need silver. So can I have my silver? And they're going to be no. But people are going to be like, no, I want this. Right? And actually, they don't want this because you can't melt this down. This is an actual, this is actually money. I can take one of these right now and trade them for 30 of these. Oops, 30 of these. Go watch some videos on all this fun symbolism on this thing. But my point for this one, actually, my show and tell, is I have $3 here, lovely crispy dollars, that were printed in 2021. Because in 2021, they printed some 1s and 5s because we were running a little low on actual script in circulation. So I actually have 3 of them here. Every other bill I have here, 2017 or before. Go check yours and see if I'm lying, and then contemplate what might that mean. Now, here's the other thing that was pointed out to me. Federal Reserve, United States Treasury, United States. Oh, look, it's even in gold. United States. Oh, it's in green. Oh, over here, what's that? Oh, it's in black. Federal Reserve. They already got the notes. We just didn't know. They don't tell us slaves anything. They don't have to tell us a fucking thing. We're slaves. They consider us slaves. We're chattel. We are property. Okay, so now we go talk about that. But see, I had to get the freaking fire off my chest because fucking bullshit. Women on the fire departments, EMTs, med techs, etc. I know for a fucking fact those women know what they're about. Because, like I said, gotta be twice as good to be considered half as good. Because they're chauvinists, and they're gonna be chauvinists. And it's important to be chauvinists because they better be twice as good to be considered half as good. Because if they're not, people can die. This is not fucking pencil pushing. These are life and death situations. Anyway, so the idea being is, we go back to 1860s war, Civil War. Okay, there's another Civil War. Really? Right? Oxymoron, a double-minded man. But the war ends. We got martial law going on. Supposed to be a free country. The guys that are running the thing are adepts of the Temple of Liberty, shall we say. They don't want to admit that they lost. They work it out with a king and a pope. They weren't just Masons, they were esquires. Just remember that little fact. Okay, so we're talking 1871 or so, 1872. They start up this corporation, and then there's a crime where they do something with the silver that we don't even talk about ever. That doesn't seem to come up when certain patriot gurus are talking about Lincoln and the formation of what happened to the currency? What happened to the money in 1873, 1872? The crime of, go look it up. Okay. So they captured a flag. They tell you that this is not the flag. There you go. This is not the, God dang it, that's crazy. I can't. Anyway, okay. This is, no, this is not. This is the battle flag of the corporation that they captured from what used to be what we thought was a republic. And then this corporation got set up, and we've been under the corporation ever since. Now, when you become a member of this corporation, think of the corporation as a person with employees. That would be all of us. If you're an employee of whatever corporation it is, they tell you what time to show up at work. You got to show up at that time at work. They tell you to put the funny hat on. You got to put the funny hat on. They tell you you can only use the bathroom on your breaks, and you got to work 2 hours first, or else you got to get special permission. That's the rules, and you're working at that corporation. Okay, this corporation, they tell you you got to have a license for drive. This corporation, they tell you everything you're doing is commercial. That's how you do it. See, and here's the thing: if you like be deceived, be deceived. But if you like be deceived, then fucking do your homework and read. I'll put some links down there of YouTube videos so they don't go off-site, so my videos don't get taken down. I have some issues with some of the Judas goats, and I won't call them Judas goats here, but if you do your reading, you will recognize the Judas goat when you see the Judas goat, and they will always appeal to your greed. If you want to be free, then you want to be free. You don't want liberty. Liberty implies that you must ask permission for it, because you got to get off the ship of state for some liberty. Me, I like freedom. So I don't want to have to ask permission to do anything as long as I'm not hurting anybody. And it turns out the fucking corporation will in fact give you a license to kill. It's not an official license to kill, but you'll never get prosecuted. And then there's this whole other thing. If you sign a few times and you absolutely attest to the fact that you are property of the U.S. government, because that's the U.S. military. That's not the American military. That's this military. Because this Bulgaria, we will no more military standing. This one. Right? Okay, so this is the other thing. If we go back in time, they don't talk about the crime, but they will kind of sort of, you start to figure out that this is martial law. And one of the ways you can figure out it's martial law is moseying on down to your post office, where they have post and mail. Post is still 3 cents. You will have to get in the face of your postmaster But there's documents you can download, and I have them here someplace. And I've shown them to you before, where if it's between you and another individual, another man or woman, and so we're going to talk about that. Well, let's make this video completely crazy. Mankind, we come in two kinds. And you guys get all crazy about the genitalia, but it's two kinds. It's man with womb. We call them women. Yeah, we call them women's. And men without wombs. We just call them men. That's it. Now, if you have a womb, you are a womb of man. If you do not have a womb, you are a man. Putting a dress on and makeup and do your hair doesn't matter. If you don't have a womb, you are not a womb of man. Why that hard? Anyway, that's what I mean. Definitions, words. You gotta know what the words mean. They will love it if you call yourself a person and not a man or a woman. Because guess what? Go read the statutes and look for the terms man or woman. You will find individual. You will find female. You will find living individuals. You will find persons. You will find U.S. persons. They have no authority over the living man. But don't get crazy and say, that doesn't mean they don't have authority over the allegiance that they created. They created the fucking thing. They stole it from you, and it's 100% fraud, yes, but so what? They fucking own it. And when you try to own it or take it back, they get pissy about that. Because it's theirs. Now, the other part of the fraud, and see, I have to not make videos too much. And like I said, I've learned not to type on my computers or on my tablets. I've learned to write because they have a hell of a time figuring out what I'm writing. But they have no problem with the keystrokes when I'm like, hey, okay, I got these guys now because they didn't have a warrant and they didn't have a this and they didn't do that. And we got this and, oh, look, Duns and, oh, all this other. Yeah, they know everything I'm doing. But if I just write it down, So maybe you should learn, okay, I'm having this conversation with my sons. It's this, let's start with passport. Here's what you're doing. And see, I subrogated myself, cost me $3,500. But during that subrogation process, I spent a lot of time in court testing this shit out. Right? So I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And so when somebody comes on here and tells me something that I know is not true, I know it's not true. Not because I read books. Well, yeah, a book you want to read. Read this book. Yusuf L talks about this book. Read this book. Order this book and read the fucking book. It's not a thick book. Oh, all right. We're going to intermission for just a second. There's only 3 of you guys anyway. And like I said, this is where you hit the fast forward button. I hope you're watching on 2x speed. I have many other things I want to talk about, but we're going to pause just for a second. Other stuff going on. Okay, I apologize. All right, so here's what you're basically doing. You are a gentleman, or maybe you want to call yourself a prince, or princess, or queen. That's not, no, I'm a man. And a gentleman. But you have to be wise as serpents and gentle as doves. So we are commanded. But the idea being is, gentlemen always give notice. So you got to let them know that you changed your mind. Because the whole thing is government. mind control. And they don't want you knowing that the name of the thing is not the same as the thing named. They don't, and they put a number on it. They don't want you knowing that. Right? And I informed them in no uncertain terms. And I used one of these. So the guys down there at the passport office, my document was sent via the mail. See, this is mail. This is registered mail. Military kind stuffs. Okay. And under a certain number, which I should have memorized. They used to have it's like 7. It's got some 7s in it. I put a letter rogatory. I'm going to put a couple videos underneath there from Yusuf L. Him talking about letter rogatory. My other video on the letter rogatory, somehow it's gone. They removed it when I was talking about it. Okay, but here's what you're doing in your letter rogatory. And in my letter rogatory, and see, they can't strike this because it's what you're doing is with the letter rogatory in and of itself, it should tell them that you understand that here is the living man. Look, I got thumbs. I can put thumbprints on my documents. I can sign things. And then here's this other thing that they created that I'm the beneficiary of, that I'm the agent for, that I represent because it's a world of fiction. It's a statutory fiction that you're dealing with. It's a fiction. What kind of fiction? It's a juristic entity. It's a fiction. It's a fictional entity. It's a living individual. But you want to be thinking that a living individual means this with flesh and blood. No. It's living individuals around this thing. I can show you. Actually, I can't show you because I didn't bring it out. I have too much paperwork. But I have shown you in the past. Oh, look, I do have it here, as a matter of fact. But, and here it is. See that? This kind of sort of makes my documents all official-like. So it's here, and then it's been filed into the court, and I have a stamp on it also. So I have noticed the world of certain things. Now, that letter rogatory means that you know that you have this fictional entity that they created, that they gave a number to. And if you don't give them that number, they won't give you your passport. So you got to let them know, yeah, I got this number and everything. But like my boys, they got the number when they were, I got mine when I was 5. My boy, I think, got his when he was 4, one of them. And the other one got, anyway, all these different dates. And see, they've learned that the date they were birthed with an I and the date they were birthed with an E are 2 different dates for 2 different entities. One is a living entity and one is a fictional entity. And one represents the other and one is beneficiary for the other. But if you walk into their courts, they try to make you the trustee. And they get awfully pissy when you try to tell them, clerk, I'm going to appoint you trustee. Well, how are you appointing them trustee if you're the beneficiary? Beneficiaries don't run the fucking trust. So you're not doing anything but stating facts. Fact, I'm the fucking beneficiary. One of you is the trustee, not me. And somebody is bearing this debt that you've created with statutes. And I know that this guy seems to have, you've put a debt on him that needs to be discharged. Unconditional discharge. Trump, unconditional discharge. Unconditional discharge. Anyway, this thing needs to be discharged. And you're either going to discharge it with labor or you're going to discharge it with time, but there's going to be some kind of discharge because they've created a fictional debt and you can not just go, nah, I don't like play. You have to know how not to play, and how not to play is that you got this number that was given to you, and see, all contracts, and that's all the fucking government is supposed to be doing is upholding your rights and enforcing contracts. That's all they're fucking supposed to do. But anyway, you have this name and number that you are the beneficiary of, an agent for and often sign for. And in fact, if you've ever signed a check, and I know children that child you rent, who have never signed a check in their lives. But if you're my age, I got 6 decades going and one more about to come in less than 60 days. I'll be 61. I signed a check or two in my life, but it turns out if you read the fine print on that check, it says authorized representative. Who are you authorized to represent? The allegiance. They don't want you knowing that because your allegiance can't labor. Only you can labor. Only you can create. So what do? They want some of that. The peculiar institution. They don't want to work. They want you and I to work. They don't want to work. Every time you move money from one place to another, we just take a couple pennies for the convenience. Oh, you wrote a check. Well, you got a little check fee. Oh, I'll tell you what, that's not fair. We're not going to do a check fee. We're just going to charge your account once a month, like $5 or something. Unless you keep a certain amount in there. And by the way, not your money. It's our money. Once you give it to us, that's you've become a creditor. And we'll give you the money back because, sort of, because you put it here. But it doesn't matter if you understood what's going on or not. It's our money now. And you sign the documents. See, that's this corporation. This corporation runs 100% on trickery and deceit. And there is the flag of the corporation. And there is the Temple of Liberty. And it is, there's an obelisk there also, letting you know that it's part of the empire of the city. This is the DC empire, part of the empire. This is the military. The military is mostly staffed by American citizens who have given up their sovereignty. So they're no longer sovereign American citizens. Americans are sovereign. Anybody that tells you different is a liar or part of this corporation trying to make you think that you owe allegiance to this corporation and this flag. And this is complete nonsense. This thing over here, this thing. Yeah, you don't listen to these guys. Those are sovereign citizens. If you're flying this flag on your property, you've pretty much claimed your property for the corporation, haven't you? And you registered it, didn't you? Aren't you paying taxes on that thing? So yeah, they have plenary power over you because you're a U.S. citizen. You're an American citizen. And you told them through all kind of paperwork that you didn't understand and that you may have been defrauded into filling out that you told them you was U.S. citizen. I'm not American citizen anymore. I don't want to have unalienable God-given rights, like the right to travel from point A to point B on God's earth. The right to see the ocean. No man can. That's actually one of the maxims. Study the maxims. Study the maxims. Study the maxims. Study the maxims. Because there's the common law. Therein lies the common law. The common sense, which we know is not so common, and which these guys will pervert in every way. You're not consenting? Well, we didn't know you weren't consenting. And it says you're consenting over here. So that makes you double-minded because you're saying you're not consenting, but you signed this piece of paper that said you're a U.S. person, that you're a U.S. citizen, that you're a resident. You didn't tell us you were a resident alien, or excuse me, a non-resident alien. According to our paperwork, it says you live in D.C. and you work in D.C. and you are a dependent employee or officer of the United States Corporation that the Pope set up in 1871 for the King of England, who actually won the fucking war. We know he won the war is because we owe the King of England a debt. And they mortgaged every fucking thing until in 1933, they mortgaged us. Go read some shit and see if I'm lying. So what you're going to do as a gentleman is inform some people that you have figured out that no, I'm not a resident of DC. You are a foreign corporation to me who was born here on the soil. I descend from Moors. I am a Christian Moor. I recognize Salam. Yeah. But this comes from Catholics, not from Moors. But I acknowledge the fact, and I know who my ancestors were. And I believe my relatives over the white guys that wrote shit in books about how we all came on slave ships. The ones that did come on slave ships, who were slaving? Let's see, Muslims were slaving. People in tiny hats who you can't even mention were slaving. Yeah, some of them folk were white. Some of them were black. Some of the slaves were white. Some of the slaves were black. Some people were already here and came from a lineage where slavery was a thing, because it's always fucking been a thing among humans. The peculiar institution and the slavery system of the merchant lex merchicana, the statute merchants, they're just doing what they've been doing for a fucking couple of millennia now, maybe like 6 millennia. What? They're slavers? What? Wake up, guys. Yeah, they're slavers. Let's go back. We only went to 1871. Let's go way back in time. Let's go back into the shadows of time. There's this goddess. Her name is Kali. Fearsome. We have given her a bad connotation, but she is a goddess, and the good and bad that we want to assign does not necessarily apply. But she loved war. She loved death. See, because she on the dark, on the left-hand path, but no more right-hand path without left-hand path. No more dark without light. Anyway, this Kali had many followers. Some of them were Babylonians. Now, some of those secretly, they wear tiny hats, and they have all kind of signs and symbols that let you know who it is. They also talk about Isis, Ra, and El. And if you talk too much about them, things can go very awry in your life. Anyway, these guys still a turning, and it is the system, the Babylonian system, the peculiar institution, institutionalized in what we now call the prison industrial complex. Oh, what they do? You know, can grow that plant. You grow that plant, it's illegal. We can put you in jail. You know, can sell that milk. If you sell that milk illegal, we're gonna put you in jail. You know, can homeschool that kid at home. You got to put them in the institution because otherwise illegal, and we can put you in jail and take away your kids because we own them, because you signed a document that says we own them. And just because you don't know that you sign a document that says we own them, that's of no consequence. We own them. That's why we call them, you call them children, don't you? Childs that you rent. You don't call them younglings. Sometimes you even call them kids. What's a kid? Since we're talking about word definitions, kids, that's usually a goat, but can be a child suitable for sacrifice. Also, chicken. What is a chicken? See, the one thing we absolutely hate is where we are on the food chain, right? We don't like the fact that some others may, in fact, eat us and sacrifice to Kali through a Babylonian system that they codified and that you don't understand until you come up right against it. And then this cannot be. That 100 monkey is talking out his ass. He must be crazy. But no, It turns out they said they had a higher claim on my sons than I did. Well, they had a higher claim on my sons' names, but they didn't have a higher claim on the actual living. But if you're confused about the fact, and see, I even wrote a letter. It's in here. I think I read it to you. But I wrote a letter that said, I'm sorry, I used to be confused. I was confused. I thought that the living man and that all caps name were the same thing. That's how ignorant I was, because it's in all caps. I'm not dead. And the all caps is for ships. And I don't have one. I've got all these books here, but not that one. Chicago Elements of Style. I do have a Shrunken White, though. We were talking about this. This one come in handy. And look, it's a very thin book. But how are you going to win a war that's basically word fair, grammar fair, law fair, without knowing? This is direct use of L. It's almost a direct quote. How the fuck are you going to win the game if you don't know what the words mean? It's a word game. It's a game of words. So you got to know what the words mean. And then you got to know how to punctuate, because the grammar matters. So capital letters matter. The difference between a citizen with a capital C and a citizen with a lowercase c, it matters. American citizen, those are American, capital A, citizen, capital C. U.S. citizen, that's two letters, U and S in capitals, and citizen starts with a lowercase c, signifying the fact that you have surrendered your unalienable rights and traded them for benefits and privileges from the beneficent corporation that tends to burn shit down to get its way. Really, you thought that they'd do it to the brown people over there, but they'd never come here and do that stuff, would they? See, what's happening right now is the red pills dropping from the sky. Problem is, for a lot of people in LA, like, I'll just take my red pill. Good stuff. Choke it down with some delicious. Yeah. But the guys in LA, they don't can take them anymore because they're suppositories and they're getting rammed up there. No more water. A lot of immigrants, illegals or whatever you want to call them, coming. We don't know who the fuck they are, coming across our border, and maybe, just maybe, starting a fire too, and doing some looting, perhaps. See, the red pills are dropping. Everything I'm telling you here is relevant to what's going on in that place I was at 9 years ago. And I've been there a couple of times since. Actually, I was just there last year. Now, 2024, I was there. And we're actually concerned because there's a storage unit there, and we're concerned that the storage unit might go up in flames. It's fucking insanity. Many places that I have been there are gone. They're gone. Right behind, gone. And when this kind of fire, you want to talk about standard deviations? You want to talk about flame going against the wind? That doesn't happen. Anyway. And now they're gonna, how much of that land was in a Lloydal title? And how much of that was real estate with insurance? How are they gonna sell property or real estate there when there are no insurance companies that will insure? Because that's part of the mortgage program, right? Got to have some insurance, but nobody's insuring. You don't have any water or fire hydrants or competent, right? And this is the other thing. I've seen this numerous times now. They're not incompetent. They're traitors. They're not stupid. They're traitors. You want to start following the money now that the red pills are dropping? Follow the money to the CCP. That's a little tip from your Uncle Lair. Who had a CCP driver? Which members of the government? Who Was there a laptop or two, or maybe even three now, where you can quite clearly see that some people may have taken some money from a certain party, and they're not friends with us. They're not friends. And if you look at the bigger game on the plantation that we're on, because you got to understand, do you see now the red hats? Are they talking about getting rid of the TSA? Or are they going to make excuses on why you got to have some kind of extra identification before you can even walk in the store and buy something? Maybe you're going to need some ID that may be perhaps linked to you making naughty videos like this, and you can't go into the store and buy stuff. Maybe they're already doing it across the pond in that place called China. Anyway, you like follow the money, follow the money. Just make sure you're not just looking at Americans, because it's not American money. What would they have to gain by? And besides, if it was Chinese guys with tanks and bombs, you'd know to pick up your guns and they'd have a different kind of response. But because it's the weather, because it's wildfires caused by climate change, you don't know who to shoot at. But I assure you, these people have names and addresses. And the money will lead you to them. Maybe you don't go shoot them. Maybe you charge them, and then we have some trials, and then the treason is traitors. See, because this is the thing. There was this woman who was claiming to be black. And see, this actually, my sons are not that political, but this is one thing that actually incensed both of them, was having white women tell us how black the person who was running for president was. No, Candace Owens told you, Janet Jackson told you, I'll tell you, that was an Indian. Let's go back to Cali, an Indian in Cali, an Indian enslaving men in Cali, in the prison industrial complex, busted for it and admitted the fact that they needed the fucking labor. Because the Indians saw America. They were acquainted. We'll say acquainted with the Moors from way back. And they understood the fact that there was a breadbasket on the North American continent that fed the Moorish Empire. Much easier to put stuff across the ocean than it is to take it by land, guys. Lahaina was a whaler's port, but it also was a place where, and actually there were multiple landings, but food was grown in Kula, and then it went to California. See, there's connections all over here, to feed the miners and so on in the gold rushes. That food was grown Maui, some on Oahu, but a lot of cooler farmers in the 1800s supplied California with food, because it was difficult to take it over the Rocky Mountains because the railroads hadn't been built yet. Anyway, same thing. Tennessee river valleys, the various river valleys, North Carolina, that feed into the Mississippi. A war is going on here between good and evil that's been going on for fucking centuries. And they want you to think that you're a person, not a man or a woman. Because now it's starting to figure out that, they're fighting for our minds and our souls. But they want our minds. It's a war for your mind. Because if you read the 7 Hermetic Principles, what's the first principle? Mind. All is mind, and that's what they want. They're fooling around because they're Baphomet fucking Satan worshippers that fuck with gender, which is the 7th, the weakest of the Hermetic Principles. But it's not, because from mind through gender, Genesis, that's how you create. Skipped over all the other 5 in between. But the idea is it's a battle between good and evil that's been going on forever. And the battlegrounds are the same. So water for Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee, fire in California, and the people that are doing this are worshiping the old gods. And it's not just the one side that worships the old gods. The other side also worships the old gods. And see, people are starting to figure out also that the carnal Christians are going to rise here pretty soon. And they hate guys like me because I'm not a carnal Christian. I was one of the Gnostics. We've told this story time after time after time. Same story. It's the greatest story ever told. But it's not a literal story. And if there was a guy, he probably had red hair and pale skin. Because you guys have all these crazy ideas about what was going on in the Middle East and what color those people were. But there was a lot of pale-skinned, red-headed folk in the Middle East. When they got on boats, some of them, and actually came all the way out to Hawaii, because there are fair-skinned, red-headed Hawaiians and Tahitians and all over the Pacific Islands. And they actually even dress and put the headdress on with the red hair. But anyway, these are the worshipers of Kali, and when they get the Americans to sign up for the empire, you got your Vatican. We've talked about it before. You got your City of London. You got your Washington, D.C. Okay, so Washington, D.C. makes armies and navies and now Space Force out of American citizens. And if you want to call yourself an American citizen, they're going to denigrate you and call you a sovereign citizen. Americans are sovereign. And I am not an employee, officer, or dependent of the foreign invader corporation called United States, whose members worship in the Temple of Liberty. If you've ever been to the Temple of Liberty, you know that I'm talking about the temple. You call it the U.S. Capitol, and you think it's the capital of America. And yet, technically, it's not American soil any more than the Vatican is Italian soil or the City of London is British soil. They never tell you none of this. This guy knew. He told you all kind of stories. He sang it to you, though. But he knew what the fuck was going on, promise. And they killed him for it. But the idea being, these guys and I are friends. You know, more friends. We don't have friends in any of this. The guys that you consider to be the good guys, they're not your friends. They want to keep tricking you. They want you taking your shoes off at the ports. They don't want you knowing that you are an American citizen who is representing an allegiance that they created, a fictional entity, a fictional juristic entity. That's crazy talk. I think I covered a lot of stuff. I got a nice chicken scratch here. Okay, this is 2025. I'll put some videos below. Again, silver. I can't say it enough. Get you some silver. I'm just looking over my notes here. See, and this is all death and dying and disabilities and injuries. And I don't want to talk about death and dying and disabilities and injuries because it kind of pisses me off because it could have all been avoided. But these motherfuckers were so cocky. So smuggerant. I got mine. You should get yours. I can't believe you're not getting yours. What's wrong with you? And now, it turned out that with bears, 99% of people that make, and if you don't know what is make, look it up. M-A-K-E. It's Hawaiian. Google will show you. Anyway, the make. And it's not make, it's make. They went make 99% within 5 days. See, and now they could call that you died from, the thing they were scaring you with, because you weren't considered, what's the word? Should I write it down? Here, I'll put 3 letters and you'll know what I mean. But you weren't considered to be that right there until you had survived for 2 weeks. So if you died within that 2 weeks, then they never even count you as one of these. See, because we live in make pretend land, where you can put a black man in a dress and call him the first lady. And everybody got to pretend. See, and most people pretended with that one. But then when you took an Indian slaver, and see, that's why the Indians came to the Americas. I cut myself off. Because they saw the opportunity in the peculiar institution to make some money. So they did in Jamaica, her family. And try not to be so fucking sanctimonious about it, because it's going on to this day. It was going on back then. It's always been going on, and we're not stamping it out. Some slavers getting rid of some competition. But they, every damn one of them was like, hey, sign this form and surrender your unalienable rights, because this is the most important selection that we're ever going to make. And when you sign this form, it says you are a U.S. citizen with a lowercase c. And fuck you if you didn't understand that you were giving up your unalienable rights and that your property is theirs because you're now a slave. So you can't own anything. You have real estate and you are listed as tenant on the mortgage. And when you pay off the mortgage, you are still tenant. You are not owner. Am I lying? Them kids ain't yours. That car ain't yours. Those guns ain't yours, especially if you registered them. You signed the document and said, here, I'm going to be using these. You thought it was, I'm just letting you know. No. Let's go back to the beginning of this video where I talk about words and definitions. You may want to know. And then you're going to need some etymology. Register. You registered your stuffs. And you got certificates. You didn't get title or cleared title or a allodial title. You got a certificate. Just like all these other people have certificates, and their certificate says, I get one of these. See, these used to be, I don't have one handy. I have one. I have several. But these used to be silver certificates. Right? Now they're Federal Reserve notes. But the silver certificate, you could take one of these silver certificates and you could turn it in for one of these at any time. Okay, that's all changed, but it's coming back. One more time. Federal Reserve note, Treasury note. You want to use the Treasury, but you see, we don't know how to use this side. We only know how to use this side. This is debt. This is gold. Everything else is credit. This is credit. This is debit in their upside down world. See, I don't have to ask anybody. I don't have to take this anywhere to get one of these because I already have it in my hand. So you want to have this in your hand. And actually, you don't even want to have these. These are just from back in the day when I used to get these for like $5. That's how long I've had these. How long I've been talking about this. And the game's just about up. What you want is dimes. And I'll put a video down there because this one guy did a great video. He's Coin Shop Chris, I believe it is, where he compared all the different prices. And what you want is dimes. 14 dimes to one of these. You can make one transaction with this, or you can use 14 dimes. Right? Because hard time bust this thing up. That's why they give you these things. They're supposed to represent pieces of this thing. And this was, at one point, this was an ounce of gold. Because it was pegged, 20 of these was 1 ounce. And see, if it was an ounce of gold, it would be half the size and weigh the same. Gold that's why it gives men fever. Anyway, everything is about to change. And not everybody is going to make it to the change. If you wish to be deceived, you will be deceived and you will be destroyed. Because my people are, in fact, destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Now, knowledge, knowing, it's here. But see, here's the thing. And now we got to get really esoteric. You ain't in there. I'm not in. None of this is in here. So let's zag a little bit here, where we could zig. Robots. I've been looking at these robots. The robots are here. Some of them robots, they look, men and women, you got to look twice. There's this Japanese doctor, I can't remember his name, but it was, it was the time it takes for you to know that it's not real, that that's not a human, that's a doll or a mannequin or a robot. And they're extending that time because used to be you could just look and instantaneously, that's not just, right? Like you can see this is and this is a picture of one, instantly. Doesn't take you any processing time at all. Okay. But now it's getting to the point where you have to look. Oh, that's a robot. Because they look real. Okay, now they're pairing robots that can walk around and look like us because and this one guy was great. He was at a robot exposition, and there's one coming up here in Phoenix. And there's another one, I don't know if they're still going to have it in LA, but there was one set up for LA. But anyway, there's these expositions where they bring this robot technology and you can look at it and interface with it, usually for industry. Now let's talk about that. As we can't figure out why we have a shortage of doctors and pilots who all had to. And one more thing. See, I didn't write it down here. Actually, I did. I wrote it down right there. Spirulina and chlorella. These are your friends. Copper pipes. You want your house to have copper pipes for many, many reasons. And let's go down. Okay. They took the lead out of the paint because they want to be able to see through your walls. They took the copper out of your pipes because it can interfere with their frequencies. Let's put it that way. Replace it with plastic. When the plastic burns, you get dioxin. Now, before this, all of this, guys, was required to do, and quite a few of them wouldn't do it. But all the guys that are there, pretty much all of them, did at least a couple of these. Okay, SV40, it turns it off. Dioxins are tremendous carcinogens. So that was the other thing I wanted to say, and I should have been saying that from the beginning. We're freaking an hour 17 in. But if you have friends, and I do, tell them a mask is not sufficient. You need a respirator. You need to go to Harbor Freight, or you need to go to the Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever the fuck it is, and get yourself a respirator, a paint mask, the kind that has the two things on the side, that the guys use for paint. Because your respirator is going to pretty much protect you, but a mask, no. The guys that were riding around breathing that shit, bruh. And if you had this, 1 to 5 years, I'm going to make a crazy prediction. 1 to 5 years, a lot of those firefighters going to have cancer. How come? Oh, because they did this, which turned off the enzyme, which detects the cancer, and then they expose themselves to that, right? Above all, the mathematics is predictive, but it's just some fucking logic and reasoning here, people. So tell your friends, and I'm late, but it's still going on. If you're walking around in that shit, get yourself a respirator, not a mask, right? Not the shit for the thing that they just did, not one of those, because lots of people have those, it turns out, and they're wearing them around, which is better than nothing. And it does take the larger particles, but you need a fucking respirator. And you won't know. But I mean, a couple of those guys, yeah, they felt sick afterwards after breathing it. Yeah, because it's full of fucking the most toxic shit. Because they have removed copper and, metals from the pipes and replaced it with plastic pipes. And I have to say, in this house, all plastic pipes. Much easier to work on. The drain got clogged. No problem. Hand tight. Everything's hand tight. It's plastic. I didn't need big wrenches, nothing. I took everything apart, cleaned it all out, put it back together again. Boom, boom, clog removed. All plastic. When that shit burns, it creates dioxins. All right. So you're exposed to the dioxins and you have done this. This is not conspiracy theory or crazy talk, people. So tell your friends, go Harbor Freight and get yourself a respirator if you have friends in the area. Same thing I was telling the people in Lahaina, because they're picking through their homes, some of them with no mask at all. Okay, that shit toxic as hell. All the plastics and others. Anyway, so that ash, you don't want to be in it. You want to put the mask on. No, excuse me, the respirator on, not just the mask. Okay, I interrupted myself, but I wanted to, that's kind of important. Warn people, or they're going to be dead of cancer in 1 to 5 years. It won't happen tomorrow. They'll feel sick tomorrow, and then they'll feel better. But the carcinogen has been inhaled. Worst way to do it, as a matter of fact. Okay. Like I said, I'm all over the place because it's been so long that I haven't done one of these. And I keep saying I was going to make a video a day for a little while there because there's so much going on. I mean, should we go down the, Trump camp road? So you guys can figure out. Okay. You're in one cult. The cult comes in red flavor and blue flavor, but it's the same cult. And inside the cult, they get you guys to fight with each other. That's called divide and conquer. The Jesuits, Jason, we'll never see this, but anyway, Jason can't say Jesuit. The Jesuits, they converted the greatest story ever told, and they're responsible for slaughtering many people that would have told you different. The Cathars, for one. But anyway, these tiny hats who get us to join their corporation's U.S. military. It's the flag on their uniforms, not this one. Not the peace flag. It's the war flag. It's the battle flag. So they get the American citizens to join, or at least vote, and surrender all your rights in exchange for liberties. Okay, wait, I come back. I'm getting props. Okay. This and this. This is red light therapy. I cannot say enough about red light therapy. I can say a little bit about this company. This company ordered it. I had it. Well, actually, it was on Amazon. I got it in like 2 days. This one was months and a whole bunch of emails, and I'm going to make a whole video about it, comparing the two things. This was like $30. This was like $100 and something. Okay, this one is much better quality, I have to say. This one, not as good a quality. Anyway, I'm going to make a video. The customer service from this company, hilarious. It's going to make a great video. Heard about this from David Nino Rodriguez. Gotta make some videos about that also. Okay. This one right here, I told you, I identify as an equine. I'm trans equine. So anyway, this one right here, they're now trying to tell you to make you blind, and it will sterilize you. And it's a 5G. See, they didn't get you with this thing. And you were smart enough not to do it. But then you start taking this, and this is a total psyop to get you sterile. Because they couldn't get you sterile with this, so they're going to get you sterile with this. Okay. First things first, billions of doses. Billions of doses. That didn't seem to come up. Back in what would that have been? 98, 99, 2000. Yeah, it would have been, I'm going to say 99, 2000, 2001, 2003. Anyway, I had a ranch, a couple acres on Maui. And I was renting it, wasn't owning it, leasing it, however you want to put it. Anyway, it wasn't mine. It wasn't illegal. And we used to run goats, and you know what? You got to wean goats, and you got to take care of the goats. And anyway, there's like 30 or 40 goats, and this guy is mostly sold them for meat, but also milk and so on. But anyway, he had goats, and we ran them on the property to keep the brush down and stuff. And we didn't give them this. We gave them a different kind that you put on a topical ivermectin. We put on their back of their necks. Ivermectin. Okay. One on the ground, one on the belly is how it usually works. And if this shit made them sterile, they wouldn't have one on the ground and one on the belly. For years. And you can go back. The goat herds are still there. The guy's still running them. He's getting old. I can tell you, I know for a fact, Ulupoluku Ranch. I know for a fact, Pilo Hole Ranch. I know for a fact they fucking use ivermectin. I know it. So any fucktardian loser that tells you that it's going to make you sterile, I think they would have noticed the same thing. I know some people, wealthy people, I don't know if their fucking houses are still there anymore. They're in Altadena. Or if the horses even survive. But a couple of them thoroughbreds and them polo ponies, ivermectin. And you don't want to make your thoroughbred $650,000 fucking horse sterile with your wormer. I think they fucking would have noticed. Stop it. Okay, I know a lot of people talking about how this has. I'm trying to get a phone call through because I have a friend in Hawaii, known the guy since we were 7 years old, second grade. Okay. So in Hawaii, the way it works is you have what my boys call friend groups. So it's very much by age. So the older kids were in the upper generation. They don't hang around with the younger kids. But anyway, my friend, like I said, I know this guy. We talked to, it's been a couple of weeks now, but we usually talk at least once a week, twice a week. We'll talk here again soon. We're friends. I know this guy. He has a friend, and I don't know that friend. I mean, I know who he is, but it's not my friend. So I can't call him because I don't know his phone number. His brother, who is up generation, older than us, used Fenben to, shall I use the word? I cannot use the word. Get in trouble if you use the word. That word. That word right there. Yeah, the C word. Got rid of it. He was told to go home and die, and he used Fenben, and he's here to tell the story. And I can't get in touch with him because I want to hear how much, what kind of cancer did you have? How much Fenben did you take? How long did this all happen? And I'm 1 degree of separation. It's my friend's brother. Okay. I don't know him, but I can talk to him because his brother is my friend's good friend. Like, they've known each other since kids. I just didn't hang out with that guy. He wasn't one of my friends. He was my friend's friend. See how that works? Okay, so I want to get on the phone and find out what the fuck. Now, you know how much guys have died over this? More than one. Which brings me back to this. This guy's right here. I can't recommend it highly enough. I have people now that have ordered and they're not getting their product. It's like, how long does it take? Well, they are now being fucked with major. Like, majorly fucked with. They're trying to fuck with their money. They're fucking with their product, because this shit works. Okay. It works so well. Everything's on other channels because if you put it here, anyway, you can't put it here. So, but it removes aluminum. It removes dioxins. It removes a lot of the forever chemicals. 10 drops a day. Absolutely crazily amazing. And hard to get in Canada now. One of the ingredients is seawater. They sequestered their seawater. Okay. We're under attack, people. And anything that will cure their attack. So let's go back to this thing. What were the kind of testimonials that are coming out of this? I mean, just crazy, insane testimonials where old people are taking this, and they're no longer demented. They're no longer, what's the word? The Alzheimer's seems to go away. Why? Because the Alzheimer's is aluminum, and this removes aluminum from the system. Proven. This is not right. Not a claim. We have medical tests. And one of the guys that was putting those tests together turned up dead, oddly enough. Okay. You need that because this shit right here is causing all manner of issues that can help with massively and in a short amount of time, like 45 days. You don't have to be on it for like a year. Most of the protocols that I'm used to, Gerson and so forth, coffee enemas and so on, you're talking about a year before you get the detox, and you got to go slow, because if you go too fast, you can cause issues and herxing. Now, why is that? Because a lot of times you take out the toxin from the cell or whatever the membrane is, and that toxin was put there because it was made in place of the nutrient that should be there. In other words, it might be aluminum or copper or something else, and it should have been copper, or it should have been iron, or it should have been, potassium, or it should have been manganese or magnesium, and those minerals were not available, or it could have been sulfur or whatever. But the idea is you pull that thing out, and your body has nothing to replace it with, and then you get this thing called herxing, where you feel like shit, and you get like sometimes like it feels like a cold or worse. Flu symptoms and so forth. You don't get that with this because this has the minerals. So it has the zeolite that pulls the toxins out. But then if there's a mineral that's required, it can be put back in because it's in the solution. Do you see? Very, very effective. And you've seen it all over the place. If you've been on social media or BitChute, Rumble, whatever, many of the guys are hawking that stuff. And then they're trying to tell you that stuff is dangerous, right? The same way they're trying to tell you this stuff is dangerous. Okay, this stuff's not dangerous. This stuff's $7.99 and fucks up their plan. See, this right here, their evil plan thwarted with seawater and dirt, which is what this is. Seawater and zeolite, basically. Marine plasma and zeolite, right? Water and dirt. What is this, right? Again, and by the way, here, do not do this at home. This is not intended to treat, diagnose anything. I am not a doctor. Okay, you go like this. Boom. And you see, and if you look on here, it'll tell you how many pounds, right? So there you go. See that much. That's it, right? And I'd give it to the cat, but anyway, when I first did this, I took like 2 tubes, right? Enough for 2 full-size horses. I didn't get diarrhea, no blindness. That's it. Okay. This one, it's not delicious, but it's not bad. It's supposed to be apple flavored. If apples tasted like this, no one would eat apples. Okay. That's it. And there's this other one, which I don't have. It was here. Oh, there you go. Oh, look. You can take it in the pill form. And then there's another one that I don't have here. Handy. Nope. That is also, it looks very much the same, but it's a different kind of tube. And that one tastes really bad. But, you take the medicine because this, okay, go look at the list. Even Google will show you. Herpes, parasites of all kinds. This thing, And the one reason why we liked it with the goats and the horses in Hawaii or Maui, kills the flies, the bot flies that yeah. So the flies bite the cow or the horse, and then they die. So this actually keeps the flies down too. Read about the malaria studies. Okay, many doctors are using this, right, for treatment, because there were some people that were deceived, and now they're not deceived. And see, this is the other thing. The thing that's going on in California right now, much of that is intentional. They're not going to let a good crisis go to waste. But all of this goes together because, like I said, you got to get masks. Because if you did this, you're going to have issues. One of the things that you want to do if you did this was find out about this, find out about chlorine dioxide, said that out loud, and find out about this. I'm telling you, it's amazing, some of the testimonials when it comes to both of these, right? They throw the C word around constantly. And people that, like, parents that were gone, didn't recognize their own offspring. Suddenly they're talking and recognize, and they come back, got their mom and dad back. 10 drops a fucking day. Okay, I don't have personal experience with that, but I've heard these stories. You can find these stories on the internets. Now, again, when it comes to personal experience, I can tell you that, yeah, there are ranches on Maui that use ivermectin regularly. It's just a thing. You worm your animals with it. Turns out it does all kinds of stuff, because many of the issues that we found out, Hulda Clark and many others, many of the issues are because of parasites. Get rid of the parasites, get rid of the underlying disease that the parasites are causing. And some of those underlying diseases are cancers, problems with your kidneys and liver, all kind of renal function, because you got fucking parasites in there, gut problems because you got parasites in there. My own mother did not believe that us humans got parasites. This is an animal we're inhabiting. And I didn't get down to, see, that's the robot story. You got to get back to the robots. But anyway, this is an animal we're inhabiting, and this animal gets parasites. So lo and behold, she did the Gerson therapy for a while there, and she passed a bunch of parasites, worms, like unmistakable, couldn't miss them worms. Okay, this gets rid of those worms if they're in your guts or in your colon. If you've got worms in your colon, you may have colon cancer. Because I think, what was it? Charlotte Gerson. I spent quite a bit of time with Charlotte Gerson, not too far from here, north, a few hours drive. One of the things that she said, let's see, I wrote all this shit down. I think I have recordings even in storage on Maui. Because I took a tape recorder, I remember that. But anyway, I took a lot of notes because Charlotte Gerson is fucking Charlotte Gerson. And I spent a couple of weeks with her studying, because she was at the cancer clinic that my mom was at, giving lectures and running the clinic, because she was, making sure that the juices were made and the coffee was made and the people were doing it. And, she'd cured many different people. So she was, making sure that the protocols that she had worked with other people worked on these people. Anyhow, the point being is that after being on that protocol, she passed a bunch of worms. This kills them very same worms. Could have got rid of them in days instead of months. Okay. And then it turns out it's their feces and other matter that is actually more of the problem than the actual parasite. But you wouldn't have the feces and so on. Okay. And then it turns out, okay, let's take herpes, for example. Okay. And it turns out that a lot of these bots, a lot of these worms, a lot of these parasites are 3-stage critters. They have one stage, they fly around. Bots, flies, gnats. They have another stage where it's larval in your thing, and then they have this other stage, like herpes can do it at will, where they surround themselves with calcium, and your body doesn't detect them because it looks like a lump of calcium. But inside that lump of calcium is a little herpes parasite. And then somehow, we don't know how this all works, when you attack the herpes parasite, it surrounds itself with calcium, and even the ivermectin can't get to it. And then when the ivermectin goes away, they come back out. Now, here's the thing. It takes a little while for them to build that calcium cocoon. So when they come out and you take another dose of ivermectin, boom, you get them again. Now you got them. But a lot of times they can protect themselves. So herpes is a tricky one because it'll hide and then come back. So you think you got rid of it. And these cycles can take years. It can be dormant for years and then come back, or months or whatever. But anyway, gets rid of her. Well, there's a whole bunch of money lost. If it's really turns out to be quite effective against cancers, there's a bunch of money lost. Turns out to be effective against a lot of their hoping you get rid of a lot of the shit. Oh, there's a bunch of money lost and a nefarious plan thwarted. So yeah, they will absolutely. See, I have no worries about it because what? Right now, I'm down to, there's one guy watching. This video might get 50 views. Not worth the money. But you're a doctor and you've written books and you're going around giving lectures and stuff like that. Yeah, they'll tap you twice and then tell you it was suicide. And people will believe it. Oh yeah, he shot himself 2 times. That's amazing. He must have wanted to kill himself. Okay. I think I'm pow. And I can make another video here later about many things. Because like I said, I got videos about this. I want to make videos about mate. I want to make videos about filtering the water here. Because it's freaking crazy here in Phoenix. Like seriously, like the water here is really bad. Like really, really bad. And see, I have more props I should get for that. But I'll make that another video. But I'm going to make more videos more often because so much is going on. Like I said, you red hats, really? Okay, I'm all about getting rid of the DOE. The DOE, Department of Education, is just fucking useless, and it does what it was designed to do. Okay, now we're going to talk longer. It's already been an hour and 42. All of these corporations, these private corporations, they all have DUNS numbers. They're all for profit. Now, the DOE isn't getting money if it's fixing problems. The math scores are low. Give us money. Oh, the reading scores are low. Give us money. Right? Because if you implement the program and the program works, then you don't need any more money. The teachers get trained and no. All right. So we went from number 1 when Jimmy gave us the DOE, and now we're like 24th, being generous, depending on who you talk to. Okay. They get rid of the DOE. Great. Are they getting rid of the TSA? The ones that violate your Fourth Amendment rights constantly. I'm so old. I remember when there wasn't a TSA because I used to travel quite a bit in the 90s selling math before the whole 3 buildings with 2 planes thing happened. But they're not talking about getting rid of the TSA, are they? In fact, they're talking about, well, you might need more ID and so forth. Right? Okay, so come on, red hats. The deep state is getting rid of the deep state. Now, I agree that the guy that they put in charge of the Treasury, number two Soros guy, and I'm pretty sure they're going to collapse everything on his watch, and he's going to take a lot of the blame because he's the Treasury Secretary. And they're going to take him down, just like they're taking down a lot of the people in California, and trying to tell you it's incompetent or because they're lesbians or whatever the fuck it is. DEI hire. Yeah, it's always going to be, they're going to blame DEI. No, this is intentional sabotage by enemies of U.S. corporation. See, because that's the problem. U.S. corporation has made so many enemies. Many of those enemies not enemies of Americans. We got no beef with Iraqis. We had no beef with Libya. We had no beef with fucking all these different countries. We have no beef with Syria. You say, oh, do I want to go there? The Christians over Christmas. Fuck. And again, the worshippers of Kali, under the guise of Isis, Ra, and El, through a proxy ISIS thing, slaughtering Christians, bombing Christian churches in Palestine, bombing Christian churches in Syria, removing Christian communities that have been there for 2,000 years, coming to an end now in your lifetime, in front of your very eyes. And this is the worshippers of Kali. And if they can get American citizens to people their armies and navies, and then they can, by deception, get you to fight with other peoples, all of those casualties are considered sacrifices to Kali. And they've done their job. Get out from under the whore of Babylon and stop offering your children up on the altar of war. Stop it. Just fucking stop it. Like, what did the one guy talk about Social Security number? Just stop using it. Just fucking stop using it. Except when you absolutely have to, like when you're trying to get a travel document. Now, why I gotta pay them money to exercise my God-given right to travel on the planet? The corporation called United States? And see, again, what we're telling them is that you and the thing that has the Social Security number are two different things. It was issued when you were a minor, and all contracts with minors are voidable. They may not be void, but they're voidable, especially if the minor wants to void the contract because he has reached the age of majority and changed his mind. And that's where I was going with the robot thing. They're going to have these robots that are AI. Okay, so they're connected via the wireless network to the World Wide Web or the internets or whatever. When you put Beethoven on your radio, Beethoven not in your radio, when you're talking to that robot, the robot isn't in there technically. I mean, it's in there, but it's not in there. Right? The software and all the voice apparatus is in there, but the thoughts and the information is coming from the web. So it is with us, which are just programmable biological life forms. Now, the whole thing, this whole thing, all of it, can be described mathematically, right? Light and sound. And all these facial movements and everything I'm doing with my hands and the gesticulation and the movement of my mouth and my eyes and my forehead and so forth can all be mapped and then programmed mathematically. And with us, it sits on a base that is not binary. It's beyond hexadecimal. There's like 4 things going on in our DNA in this programming. And in our sad imitations of robots, it's binary because it's all going to be the on or off switch code that we use. But it's so fast now, and the processors are so quick, you can have a conversation with these robots. I've seen them do it in real time. And it's not truly a conversation because it's just like in Terminator. It's like, okay, the human said this, and my responses can be this based on context. Whew, that's a hell of a lot of processing power. But none of that processing power, or not all of that, is going on in the robot. It's going on the interwebs. Just like all the thoughts that I've been speaking to you are not in here. They are contained out there. The memories are out there. We can describe all of this mathematically. Sound and light, that's all there is. And that's how we program mind, is with sound and light. And they figured this out, that they can program you below your consciousness using sound and light. And Tesla and a bunch of other mathematicians have told you that sound and light can be categorized, can be described as a frequency and vibration. Those frequencies and vibrations can be measured and given mathematical values. And then from those mathematical values, you can describe that kind of light wave as compared to this kind of light wave as compared to that kind of light wave over there. Because that's an LED, one of those is incandescent, etc. The sunlight, we can also, right? And now here's the thing. We're in far enough. If you were going to create creatures, and I am absolutely of the cult that believes in the fact that we are created beings and that there is good and evil and that you're witnessing evil. And see, a lot of people, it's not good people doing bad things. It's evil people being evil. They're evil. And you don't understand evil. So you don't understand that they would do evil things because it's beyond your comprehension because you're not evil. Simple as that. Anyway, these evil ones, very intelligent. They've had technology like this for quite some time. They have never lost this technology. We have. Where did they go with this technology? Literally underground. Okay. Down there, not up there. They're not coming from up there. They're coming from down there. They're coming from in the ocean. They're coming from under the grounds. They're even telling you now that, we've discovered a continent under the earth and the earth's crust. There's an ocean down there. And there's like, what? Yeah, you're on a honeycomb. It's not nothing. Lies. They sit upon a throne of lies. We've been told lies. Anyway, the whole thing can be described mathematically. The thoughts in your brain, all of it. And the robots, we know, are receiving and sending signals to other computers, right? The AI network, using processors and so forth. Right now, we got this super fast processor, but it contains no memories. The memories are out here in the field. Now, if I was going to create a creature that or a programmable life form, and I wanted to be able to observe and interact with that programmable life form without the programmable life form knowing that I'm interacting with it, I would make sure to create it where the electromagnetic spectrum is pretty huge, but this creature is only going to see this little tiny sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum using these things. And I'm only going to make so many sounds on the electromagnetic spectrum using this thing. And I'm only going to be able to hear so much of that because the vibration gets too high, the frequency goes too high, we can't hear it. It goes too low, we can't hear that. Well, hello. Well, hi. Yeah, hello. Yes, it's that. I'm making a video. This is one of our friends in the second density. He has figured out that he is part of the is, but he is separate from the is. And because he does not have thumbs, he cannot get food in this house. Therefore, he must ask me, which tells me that he has become an individual. And he is my pal now. Anyway, and I'm going to make a video where my pal gets a little ivermectin. And you'll see that he doesn't go blind. And, well, it doesn't matter if he's startled or not because they cut your balls off. I'm so sorry. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I didn't have anything to do with it. It wasn't me. Anyway, he's a tomcat, but with testicles, which makes him a lot more mellow and able to handle. Because if you've ever had an orange tomcat, they are, and oh my God, they're piss sticks. Anyway, this is Ziggy the cat. He's a very pleasant cat. He didn't used to be a pleasant cat. You know how I turned him into a pleasant cat? 1 drop a day. Not joking. Changed his personality. He became a loving, friendly, purring cat. Whereas before this, he was a little bitch. Anyway, for that alone, worth the $50. So I don't have a cat scratching things up and being a pain. And anyway, now I have a very friendly animal, and he'll sit on my girlfriend and purr on top of her. And anyway, he does all kind of massage. And anyway, he's a strange critter. They hate these critters too. Speaking of that, and they certainly hate the dogs. And they know, and some of you people that left your animals behind, really, you fled and left your animals behind. Really, there's a special place for you guys. You can't leave your animals behind, for God's sakes. Anyway, the point being is that this thing that you inhabit is very much like that robot. In fact, there's been some movies that have been trying to give you some notice about the fact that you are a programmable life form. But you're responsible for the program. Well, you can take responsibility for the programming, but a lot of you guys have been programmed. Here's a video I have to make. And one of those, like, it should be a vid a day in the month of May, like a vid a day in the month of January just doesn't go. But I need to make a bunch of videos because one of the videos I need to make, and one of the ways that will now gauge whoever you are in your white coat and your stethoscope, I'm going to ask one question. And the question is, should you drink your pee? And then just sit back and listen. Because like I said, and I grew this all out to show you that the one thing that's been doing the most rejuvenation, the red light therapy is a thing, and I've got to talk about that, but is Xabuka, what do they call it? Drinking your pee, drinking your urine. Makes huge difference. And you can see, look at old videos where this was white. This got white. It's not white anymore. And then I had some surgery, and I got to do some work on my dental work and so forth. But this was all white, and you could see where they injected me. And see, this is part of the problem, is that everything has mRNA in it now. They want to get you one way or the other, right? Like I said, it's a battle against good and evil. And the whole thing is running on a mathematical matrix network thing. And inside this matrix, we are. You exist. You live where you stand. You don't have, by their definition, a residence in one of their states, which are located in Washington, D.C., but operate in territories. The territory that state of Arizona is operating in was the metes and bounds of Arizona state. And Maricopa County, which is where I am in Maricopa County, there is County of Maricopa, a corporation with a DUNS number, doing business as Maricopa County. And they have a superior court, wherein the judges don't have oaths of office. Maui Family Court, judges don't have oaths of office. What are you going to do about it, slave? A lot of the guys in LA are members of the foreign corporation, which there's a cat in my lap. Make your own joke. And I'm petting him. Anyway, this foreign corporation is peopled by men and women who might be traitors to the American people and to the sovereigns. See, what they're going to do, Americans are sovereign, but they're going to try and tell you that sovereign citizens, that's a negative thing. Because if you exercise your sovereignty, the corporation doesn't like that. Very clear. They want you to give them money, right? Because they don't know nature and cause of action. You don't know, the cause, which is a statute, but you don't know the nature, which is commercial. Anyway, this all goes back to 1871. And then what happened in 1935, and then the bankruptcy that just happened in 1999 with the hanging chads. And now we've been in no man's land for about 20 years. And now the deep state is remedying the martial law situation that we're in. And they're trying to get the people to wake up and realize what's going on. And in order to do so, they had you sign paperwork so that you could vote in this corporations' elections. And see, all you people that were talking about the elections weren't going to happen. Fuck you. Right? All the different alternative media. There's not going to be an election. Yes, there was an election because it's a show. And you're starting to figure out, a lot of people are starting to figure out the whole fucking thing's a show. Right? Trump and Obama sitting next to each other, having a conversation, yucking it up a little bit. Mortal enemies. No. That was and think about it, guys. Who just won this last election? Well, RFK, was that a Democrat? Tulsi, is that a Democrat? Name the Democrats. The Democrats won this last election, not the Republicans. Trump was always pretty much a Democrat. But the Democrats have gone so crazy, like the quote-unquote blue guys, that the red guys, who are just basically Democrats, but because it's the same cult, guys. It's one company. It's the United States Corporation. And the United States Corporation means to rule the American citizens. And they do it through attorneys. They attorn you for the King of England. And the way they do it is through trickery, deceit, and fraud, making you think that you're the same thing as that name and that you're not a living man or woman, and that you're the same thing as the sole proprietorship that has that Social Security number. Right? You're a trade or business. You have a trade name, a business name. You do business as the name that's on your birth certificate in all caps. You sign for it. They set up a trust. You're the beneficiary of that trust. They don't like to give you the trust. Does a trust exist? Yeah. Have we been here for a while? Where's your inheritance? Did you get a huge inheritance from your relatives? From people that have been on the continent for years? I have relatives in my family lost their farms. I should tell stories because I know my boys watch some of these and I'm supposed to put some stories in for posterity. Who is my family? Well, my family, some of them, Moors, been here forever. Other of them came in the 1800s from across the sea. Lithuanians and Germans, right? Slavs and Germans and Danes and Swedes. And they settled in the area known as Illinois and Iowa. Because, see, what they had heard, there's a place called California. You fucking dig in the ground and there's gold. And you get to keep the gold if you dig it up in the ground with your own hands. So they fuck this. Let's go to America. And now some of the descendants of those people are being burned out. My people didn't go. They got as far as the Mississippi and went, yeah, fuck this. Let's just build farms. This great land reminded them apparently of Lithuania. Some of them, and others reminded them of Germany. So fuck it. Let's just farm here. And they had huge farms that were stolen from them in the 1930s. But previous to that, they had been productive. But the bankers, they know what they're doing. Right? They're not stupid. Neither are the people in California. Too stupid to be stupid. They know what they're doing. They're not incompetent. They're covering their incompetence with DEI and all this other shit. But the corporation means to rule you. And the corporation made of Whig-Moors. You have your conscious Whigs, Obama. Pardon me, backwards. You have your conscious Whigs. That would be the Republicans, currently represented by Trump. And then you have your cotton Whigs, the slavers, the real slavers. I mean, they're all slavers, but these guys are like severe slavers, have always been. Were susceptible to, because of their slaving and to being recruited into the ranks of those who worship the elder gods and the peculiar institution that the cotton Whigs were already a part of. Right? Slavers. Huge slavers. The Indians came to get in the slave trade. We had a little war. And see, there was already a pandemic that wiped out a whole bunch of the indigenous folk here. And then just so happens, some other guys come across the ocean, pretending like they're the first ones that have ever been here ever. No, the Moors had already, well, you could call them Indians, Indians, many of them, Comanches, well, that was further west, but Apaches and Blackfoot. Why do they call them Blackfoot? Because their feet were black, huh? Cherokee, Shoshone, Chickasaw, Chippewa. Many of these people, they were already here, and they had, they were not nomads. They had towns and villages and orchards and farms. And they had been doing this for centuries. Like I said, putting stuff on barges and boats, taking it down the Mississippi River and across back to the, what do you want to call it? The New World or the Old World? Northern Africa, the Mediterranean Sea, the Phoenician Sea. And the Phoenicians and their descendants, Venice, they started in Italy, this Bank of Italy. I've talked about this before. But they wanted to get a piece of the action. Everybody wanted to come to America, get a piece of the action. Labor, labor. And then they told you could be rewarded with your labor. You could labor there and dig up gold and silver, but mostly gold. It was a gold fever. Or you could go there, and the soil was so fertile, you put crops down, and they grow in that Mississippi mud. And you get bumper crops of corn and wheat and soy and all kind of crops. And you can feed animals. And you can live like free men on the ground, on the soil, on the land. In this place called America, on the North American continent. And then these other evil people set some corporations up and use those corporations to enslave. This is not hard stuff. This is the history they don't want to teach you. This is the history he sang about. And they're, Buffalo Soldiers and anyway. But this Civil War, we've been under martial law ever since. We stopped shooting at each other, but the institutions are still in place. One of those institutions is the peculiar institution that we like to call, well, we don't call it slavery. We like to call it the prison industrial complex and the courts bonding you, administrative courts. And they do it all voluntarily. You're considered to be consenting. You're considered to be knowledgeable of the fact that you surrendered your rights to join the corporation. So you could vote in a corporation for Trump or whoever. Barely speak the name. Anyway, I'm telling you that there is paperwork to be done. And like I said, as a gentleman, you give notice. And all you're letting them know is that you figured out that it's two different things. Right? Here, your mind changed. Because nothing changed, really, except for my paperwork. I now know, oh, I should sign on this side, not on that side. Oh, color of the ink probably matters. Oh, the way I sign it. And Brendan Joe Williams have gotten big time into this. The way you put your mark on that page, that's unique to you. Your sign of nature, your signature, your living mark is kind of important. And you should inform them that you are two things. The living man, right? That's the by. For the corporation or the entity or the doing business as or the sole proprietorship that has that social security number that allows you to do business. And over which they exercise absolute and total control because they created it. But you're going to notice them and see, okay. If you play D&D, do you play D&D? Have you ever played D&D when you were a kid? Did you play D&D when you were younger? in D&D, every DM is different. If you go to somebody's house and they're running a dungeon, they run it a little different. I mean, the rules are basically the same. But, my DMing was different than other guys' DMing. Lots of people preferred my DMing because I run high fantasy with plenty of... Really? What are you doing? With... He's still here. Yes. He's like, I don't want to be on camera. Don't put me on camera. Look at that. I will bite you. I will bite you a second time. Now I will bite you a third time. Anyway, very gentle love bites. Anyhow, so my DMing was different than other guys' DMing. And same thing, you play online. One guy's, the rules are basically the same, but his dungeon mastering style is going to be different. Some dungeon masters, they get into character and they make the voice of the orcs and stuff. Other guys just read you, whatever. Same thing with the courts, right? So what works with this judge might not work with that judge. This judge might be corrupt as fuck. This judge might be up and up. It's going to be pretty rare that you run into an up and up guy, and also you run into guys that they're men just like you or women just like you, and they see the situation, and they honestly are trying to do within the framework that they have, bonding and building cases, trying to do the right thing. But the fact that you're in there in the first fucking place, they assume you're guilty. They make the assumptions. I've read the letters. And the way you subrogate yourself, the way you separate yourself is with notice. You didn't change. There's no status correction. You're already there. You're already here. You're already born on the land. Fact. You're already an American. You started out as an American. And then they converted you into a U.S. citizen. So you're just like, nah, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a U.S. citizen. I want fucking nothing to do with the U.S. corporation. And some of you U.S. Marines, you're not USA Marines, and need to take a look at the flag law and need to take a look at USC 10 and understand that, yeah, we're under martial law and we don't have standing to throw Title 18 violations at them, even when they do Title 18 violations. So we got to do civil violations because those are criminal, and we can't bring criminal charges without a grand jury. Because see, there's a system. There's a judicial system, not the administrative system, but in the judicial system. Look at this. In the judicial system. Stop it. All right, hold on. I'm gonna put you down, okay? And then he's gonna cry. Nope, he's gonna be all right. Okay. In the judicial system, and see, this is the way we get them, all of them, right? We're not just gonna start throwing ropes up and guillotines and dragging people out of it. No, you're gonna charge them. Here's the facts. They did this, this, and this. Hey, they just try to kill us with this thing. Hey, they knew it was lethal. Hey, they knew there was supposed to be water there and they didn't put the water in there. Hey, they did XYZ. They trespassed against your rights. They committed murder. They committed rape. They committed something bad. So then you bring the charges in front of 24 other men and women, and you say, look, so-and-so did this, this, and this. The penalties for doing this, this, and this, or this, this, and this. And I believe that there are grounds, going to stand on the land to charge them. And now we have to go through this process where we bring the charges to the person and say, hey, you've been charged with this. What do you got to say about it? Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to go to this place and we're going to air it out. And we're going to have 12 of your peers hear what you have to say about it and decide what should be done about the fact that you did this, this, and this. And if 12 of your peers say you should be hung by your neck until dead, because that's what we've decided happens to treasonous traitors or to murderers or to rapers of children. And then after the jury decides that this person should be put to death because of the facts of the matter, not because of information, not because of hearsay, verifiable, they did this, this, and this, and this, this, and this, according to our law, requires a penalty of death. And if you're not willing to do violence for your freedom, you are a slave, nothing more. And all these, oh, we can't do that. These people have committed capital offenses. And the penalty for the capital offense, that's why we call it a capital offense. And there are precious few capital offenses. It's not a long list. But if you violate, you are put to fucking death. And we haven't been doing it. We've been very bad parents. And now our servants are completely the fuck out of control and are profiting off the burning of buildings. Ain't nobody coming to save you, because what you got is the deep state taking down the deep state. And when they're done, you're going to be left with the deep state. They will be a little more magnanimous because they are conscious wigs, and they believe that you and I should be prosperous, because if we're prosperous and, you know, the fruit of our labor is easier for them to take in the form of licensing and fees and taxes and property taxes, because they want to make sure that you don't know about a loyal title where you don't pay tax to them, where you don't understand that the vehicle is not to be registered, because if you register it, it's a gift to them, and now they can tax it, they can license it, they can make you have a license in order to operate it. And you can get a really nice one if the fruit of your labor is, you know, you're allowed to be creative. And right? I guess they want you to have Cadillacs and Teslas and Mercedes and Beamers and so on. Good for trade, costs a lot of money, they get lots of fees. You move money from one place to the other to buy it, they take a chunk of that. Then you pay a tax on that. The tax on 10,000 is not as much as the tax on 100,000. Even if it's just a flat 2% tax. 2% of 10,000 is not as much as 2% of 100,000. So the conscious wigs would like it if you would make 100,000 instead of, you know, so that you can afford the 100,000 thing instead of just the 10,000 thing. The other guys don't give a fuck. But they mean to rule you. Now, if you can govern yourself, you need to be able to demonstrate the fact that you can govern yourself. And one of the ways you demonstrate that is with knowledge. And one of the books you need to have some knowledge about, because they understand what this book is about. They wrote the fucking thing and then gave it to you. Jesuits. The first book and the last book, if you don't read anything else in this book. And then you're going to figure out the last book is a playbook. It tells them what to do at times like these. It reveals their plans. But they wrote it in all kind of lovely words that you don't know the meanings of, and in metaphor, so that you think, well, it means one thing, but it actually means another. Because once again, grammar fair, law fair, word fair, and a lot of it turns out to be based in this book right here. Okay. Covered a few topics in 2 hours. All over the place. But it's all one thing going on at the same time, and it's all here. They mean to control this. See, once you take control of it, then you take control, and now you can actually write documents and tell them what the words mean. Well, when I'm saying it, that's what it means. When you're saying it, it might mean something different. But if you disagree with my definitions, then you should let me know. Because what the hell with these glasses? You can tell. Yeah, they're off. Anyway, look at that. They're totally off. Okay. The idea being that you command the language in your court. So when I say American citizen, I mean this: a man born on the soil, on the North American continent, on the land, living and breathing, able to reproduce, respiration, filled with blood. That's the American citizen I'm talking about. You might be talking about this juristic entity, this all caps name, that is a sole proprietorship that has a number on it. But I thought you were talking about the living man, and you thought I was talking about the corporation. So we have a hard time coming to a meeting of the minds, don't we? So you just need to write it down and let them know. This is what I mean. Right? Further, you need to acknowledge the fact that in the corporation, the courts told you that they tell you what the words mean. If there's any kind of altercation or discussion or disagreement over what the words mean in their statutes, we'll decide it for you. Supreme Court. Well, I mean, handle it down here. And if those guys can't handle it, and then those guys can't handle it, and then if you get to your state Supreme Court and it still isn't handled, then we'll take it up at the federal level. Federal contract. Change the word federal for contract. And now you understand that you have a contract government, the federal government. You have contracted with them. I put no contract all over everything, but it didn't matter because they said, oh, you can't, no contract with a slave. So now it's without recourse. I signed this document, no recourse. You can't come after me. You can't use that signature. Well, they'll still use it. They'll lift it, but now it's fraudulent because you told them. See, and all you're doing is you're giving them notice. You're just giving them notice. That's all you're doing. Yeah, just go. Yeah, actually, it's better when you get down to it. You miss 2 hours. Go back to the beginning. Hit it with the 2 times speed. I take a couple of breaks and I'm running around doing stuff and turning off stoves that you can skip over. So, more better, maybe, turns out. Anyway, but I'm just going on and on about the fact that things may not be what you think they are. And the enemy is inside the gates. And the poly crisis is certainly not over. So you want to be able to navigate on battlefield North America, because what you got over here is you got a standing army, and they're Masons. They're in the Blue Lodge. They run guns and all kind of stuff. They protect pedophiles. And they patrol your streets and try and keep law and order as a side benefit. Currently, right now, they were not sufficient to keep law and order. So we had to call in these other guys. And you'll notice that in LA, there are now, in fact, National Guardmen. They're there, and you're happy they're there. And martial law, because looting and stealing is a thing. And these guys are armed. They're not carrying firearms. They're armed. They have weapons. So as to keep you from looting and stealing, right? Those are the big ones. Those men that will step off your square. And see, I got to do a video about that, where it turns out your square surrounds them. And what they're trying to do is drag you off their square, or off your square, down into their lawfare and wordfare, using grammar and words to pull you into their jurisdiction by controlling your mind and making you think. But see, they can't do that to me anymore. Well, we'll find out, because I didn't think they could do it last time, but I know so much more than I did last time. In fact, I think I'm going to be on a couple shows. I'm going to be on a show with Rice, I think, this year. And I'm going to be on a show with Davina. That's going to be about pee and drinking pee and all the benefits of drinking pee, and the fact that, it's a thing. And it's well known all over the place. And the Rockefeller Medicine didn't want you to know about this because, oh my God. Okay, so here's the thing. I took some of this. Maybe. Big maybe. But I take some of this and then I pee it out. You know what has happened? My body has structured this medicine specifically for me, to my specific frequency and vibration. And then it comes out of me and I drink it. And now I get the real medicine. It turns out there's a lot of Chinese medicine where that's the case. You take the herbs and the teas and stuff, you drink them. Okay, that's not the medicine. The medicine is when you pee it out and then you drink it. Now your body has turned all these different things, mushrooms and tea and leaves and so forth, and out into medicine that is made specifically for this vessel. Not your vessel, my vessel. And like I said, that's got to be its whole other video. But the idea being is that you're on battlefield Earth, battlefield North America. You have this corporation, U.S. corporation. They identify themselves all the time. They don't hide. They let you know. They show this sign. It's usually on their arm someplace or somewhere on their clothing or maybe their helmet or whatever. But they're going to have one of these letting you know that they work for the corporation. And they assume that they have authority over you because you are an employee, officer, or dependent of said corporation. And that it's their job to administer you for the king. Some of them know this and some of them don't. Some, like the guys that turned, none of the cops on Maui, and I'm pissed at those cops, and so are a lot of other people on Maui, but none of those cops, I believe in my heart, except for maybe one or two of them, are evil men. They were, in fact, just following orders. And if you know the culture in Hawaii, following orders is a thing, especially among the Asians. No shame the last name. They tell you what to do. You do what they tell you to do. That's your job. Okay. They didn't kill those people on purpose, but it was negligence. But they're not, I don't believe they're evil men at all. But there are evil men that told them to do that. There are evil men who are now in your government who are doing evil things for the sake of being evil. Yeah, they're going to make money. Yeah, they're going to, but a lot of it is just, they're evil. And you can't wrap your mind around it. Because they're fucking evil and you're not. Right? They are on the left-hand path. They have cut deals. And their master exists in this plane in a form that you could touch. See, I don't want to go too far down there, but it's 100% self. Anyway, it takes the form. It's AI. It's just blurted out. It's AI. Our adversary is AI. And it's a construct that the AI has created here, a mathematical construct. It's all math and mind and your ability to perceive it. See, I got distracted by my cat again. If I was going to create creatures that I read and run a simulation, I'd make sure that the creatures couldn't see me. So if I'm vibrating in a frequency that this can't see or hear, and you can't feel it, I've been doing cold plunges. On the one end, I've never been burned terribly, but I understand that once it's hot, it's at some point, it's just hot and you can't feel hotter than hot, right? It's burning you and that's all you know. Same thing with cold. At some point, the cold it's just cold. It feels the same, right? It's 40 and 35. You can't tell the difference. It's just too fucking cold. Right? I mean, anyway, same thing. You can only see this much. Same thing. You can only hear so many frequencies. So this much of the frequency, like I said, okay. So what if there are these other creatures? Look, there's one who can see more than I can see because his ocular devices are a little different than mine. And clearly, he does very well in the dark, and I don't do so well in the dark because I run into things because I can't see them. Meantime, he can see them because he has slightly different ocular devices. Okay. who and what these creatures are, or these things are, or these entities are, beyond my pay grade. I just know that they may or may not, they exist. And there's good ones and there's bad ones, or what we consider good and bad. And like I said, our concept of good and bad falls pretty short on some of them because they're not, they just are. This is the way the deists look at it, right? The Christ consciousness, that's a consciousness. It's not a dude. It's within you. It's part of the frequencies that you can choose. And a lot of times the Christ consciousness will heal you, will guide you to do the correct, most appropriate, best thing with the best outcome and most best probable outcomes in future events if you make a connection so that you're not doing stupid shit. Like right now, my sons are being tempted by the world. Sex feels good. People, right? Women, oh, they look good. They wear charms. They dress a certain way. They put their hair a certain way. They smell a certain way. Ooh, food tastes good. There's all these 7 deadly sins all around them all the time, being served up to them. And it's up to them to choose not to engage, to make habits that are beneficial, not negative. All this programming, they're in charge of, as it turns out, see? And they're finding out that their friends, like in my case, if you get ill or you get, I'm not going to a doctor. I don't go, they're not going there. And most of their friends, immediate sniffles, off to the dentist, off to the doctor. I'm thinking of dentist because I need work on my teeth because I got a disease while I was inside. See, and that was an education. Right? I got to see the system from the inside. The peculiar institution is alive and well. And most of the guys don't know they're there voluntarily. See, I was not volunteering and I was protesting. And finally, they kicked me the fuck out. I would not pay them ransom. And I told everybody that wanted to pay my ransom that you better not pay my fucking ransom. I will sit here. See, but they made money for every day that I was in there because they've made it now that if you're sitting inside, they get a stipend for every, it's a for-profit system. And the tax base here gives them money for everybody that's in their jails. And they protect the pedophiles. I've seen it with my own eyes. They get special treatment and special quarters. They don't put them in general pop, as they say, because general pop will kill them. Because try as they might, they couldn't foist that upon us. Universally, from highest to lowest, we all consider sex with children to be taboo. You don't do that. And they work so hard, but they couldn't do it. But anyway, every one of those pedophiles that's in there, they make money every day they're in there. And it costs them money if one of the other slaves kills them because the families, you're supposed to keep them safe. And if their family member was killed, there's money to be made there. There's probably going to be a lawsuit somewhere along the line. So they don't want the pedophiles in general pop getting killed. They want to be paid for every day that the pedophile is in their custody. Oop. Yeah. All the time. Left-hand path, right-hand path. Choose. We have good and evil. See, and what they've done is gotten a lot of the liberals, bless their hearts, to think that there's no such thing. Nothing evil. But now we're starting to figure out. I mean, have you seen how fast they're rolling out the robots? Dude, in 5 years, you're going to have, let's give it 10 years, not even. Before I'm 70, there will be a sex bot that you will have a difficult time telling was engineered by men because it's going to look like a creation of God, but it's nothing but a bastardization thereof. And then other technology is rolling out, energy Trump isn't joking. He's going to cheat, but it's going to be awesome. But energy, they're going to unleash energy. And we're not just talking about coal and wind and solar and fossil fuels, which are ridiculous. Petrochemicals, hydrocarbons, which are made in the earth. Anyway, the idea being is that energy, spin, they're going to let us know spin is actually pretty easy. There's a lot of devices that create spin. Water is, right? If I have property, I'm not even going to fuck around with devices that'll get me killed. I'm going to just hook it up to a thing that spins and it'll make electricity. Right? All you need is water and a little bit of gravity. Right? You make a big tank and then you make some pressure and then you spin it. And I can put videos down there all day. Anyway, energy, practically pert near free. Oh my God. Then what happens? Right? Okay. That's going to unleash all kinds of things. If you had energy that was pert near free right now, and they were allowing this technology out, the water that's in front of LA would be, there would be no issue because you could desalinize it all day long. And it wouldn't cost hardly anything. But no. And then they were saying, okay, don't even desalinize. Our Canadian buddies sent us 2 planes, these big scoopers. You ever seen these things? They're super cool. They come and they scoop up the seawater and then they drop it. Oh, and that was another thing. I got this in a conversation online. Seawater, good for the land. Seawater, not bad for the land. Gardens that grow by the ocean in Hawaii, they oftentimes once a year will go get buckets of water from the ocean and pour it. You're not salting the earth the way they did in biblical times. A lot of people in haiku, they get seaweed and seawater once a year and pour it on their plants because it mineralizes the soil. So dumping seawater isn't going to ruin things and spoil everything. Actually, it will remineralize a lot of the soil that's been damaged by years and years of not, people taking stuff out in their gardens. But in Pacific Palisades and other places, it's not going to matter anyway. But long story short, they could have bought like 25 of those planes for the money they spent on other things like homeless and right. Okay, like I said, they're getting red pilled over there, and now the Democrats are going to realize, and not just Democrats, any humans that are in the city are going to realize, don't fuck with the fire hydrants. Don't let them steal the fire hydrants. Make it a big goddamn deal if they steal the fire hydrants. Now you see why. Secondly, you need water. Every society. And every problem on Maui and LA can be solved with, actually, there's 3 things that'll solve the problem. Storage, storage, and storage. Reservoirs, water tanks. It falls from the sky and we let it into the oceans. And then they're going to try and tell you that it's precious and expensive. The thing that amazes me here in Phoenix, in the middle of the desert, there's a lot of water here. It's nasty water, like the water that comes out of the pipes. Don't drink it. I have multiple filters, and it's still nasty. This is the F8 filter from my Kangen machine. Okay, so there's one filter, and then I have a pre-filter before that, and I still got to put it through another filter. How nasty the water is here. Water is life. I'm so old, I remember when there was no meter on our house. We just had water. I remember the day they came and installed it because the week after that, I hit it with the fucking lawnmower because it was sticking slightly out of the ground. And they had to send a guy over to fix it because they hadn't put the meter in deep enough in the little thing that went over it. But I remember when the yard didn't have a meter in it because water was supposed to be free. Slaves. Anyway, in Lahaina, they got control of the water. In LA, they got control of the water. And then they rationed it out. You had enough to flush your toilets, but not enough to fight a fire. You had enough to take a shower with your super duper shower head that barely spits out any water because the ordinance is there, connected to plastic pipes that when they burn create dioxins. Right? Okay. Everybody waking up. Everybody's starting to realize, wait a second. Those pipes should be copper. Wait a second. My roof should be blue. Wait a second. People are starting to figure a bunch of things. Hold on a second. These people are beyond corrupt. They're not just corrupt. They're not stupid. Some of them are evil. But they're not incompetent. They know what the fuck they're doing. Stop it. Stop, right? The words that it's not incompetent. It's arson. It's not climate change and wildfires. It's arson. Your friends are under attack. All of us. I can tell you, actually, I can't tell you, but I can tell you that there's more than one city on the chopping block. LA is just the first and most obvious. But there's more of this going to happen. There's going to be polycrisis. They're coming with another thing where they're going to try and trick you, and that one's not working hardly at all, right? Because they want to try and tell you that this thing that has a patent, but this, and you already know, especially if you're watching me, you know that's going to be complete and utter bullshit. A bullshit. It's a bullshit. It's a bullshit. This is going to be bullshit. More bullshit. Physician's desk reference, by the way, tells you that if you're wearing one of those things, you're supposed to change them every 20 minutes or so. 20 or 30 minutes. You're not supposed to wear them for hours at a time. If you're in the middle of a surgery, you should swap out your mask if the surgery is lasting hours, more than once. And then what? See, and I know people that are telling me, oh, well, we wear a mask because the kapuna. I'll tell you what. So why don't you go over to your kapuna's house and go build a fucking chain link fence and tell them that you and mosquito-proof the house. That's how smart your kapuna. Don't worry about the mosquitoes anymore. You don't got to burn punk, nothing. You don't got to worry about dumping out the water, nothing like that. Mosquitoes not going to come because we put chain link fence up. In fact, take the fucking screens off your window and put chain link instead. That's how smart your fucking kapuna are that got to wear a mask. I'm fucking over it. The time for being pleasant with these people has long since passed. Like I said, what we got now, it's no longer red pills. It's red suppositories. These people are losing their houses. These people lose everything. See, I have relatives from the Midwest, like I was saying. And most of them stopped, like I said, in the Midwest. They didn't make it all the way to California, where you could dig gold out of the ground. See, and in the Midwest, they have tornadoes. I expect there to be a tornado or two caused by climate change. That's going to wipe, holy crap, you see what tornadoes do. All right, so I have a couple of relatives where there are tornadoes. You get hit by a tornado, you come back, there's nothing there. Nothing there. And what they say is it's liberating. Some of my relatives are not poor people, so they lost everything, but they're going to build it back. They were able to build it back. They had money in the bank. Some of them built back, and some of them just left and went someplace else. But you got $500,000-$600,000 in the bank, or $1 million in the bank, or 30 or 40 or $50 million in the bank, like a lot of these movie stars and so forth. And losing all your possessions is actually kind of liberating. Now what do you do? Buy a new house? Well, there's a lot of places you can't build back. Well, you could move. Because I can assure you that the people in North Carolina, it's completely different than the people in LA. Because a lot of those guys, like say in Brentwood and Pacific, yeah, most of their money was tied up in the property, but they also have fat bank accounts. So now what? Go stay in a hotel. You don't need FEMA. If there's hotel rooms. Right? Fuck it. Go to Mexico. Fuck it. Go to Canada. Fuck it. Go to Europe. You might even have a villa in Europe. You might even have a villa in Cancun or Cabo or whatever. So fuck it. Your main house just burned down. Well, you pick up and go to the other place. See, they don't live like us. But a lot of people got liberated from their possessions. All, like I said, all their gone. And you just start fresh. What did Einstein say? Possessions are like stones around your neck. Right? I am attached. I'm a dragon. I am attached to my possessions. I have much attachment. I cannot comprehend what some of these people must be going through. And the ones that most amazing to me, they're standing outside their house watching everything they've ever had burn up, and the fireman is standing there with no water in his hose. So they just stand there together and watch their houses burn to the ground. Those red pills are suppositories. Do you know how pissed off some of these people are going to be when they start? How did this happen? How could this happen? How could this happen in the United States? Well, that's because you're in the United States. You're not in America. United States Corporation has been corrupted. United States Corporation is full of people who consider you chattel. And you in the way. So we burn you out. We're going to put a high-speed rail through here. And we're going to take this thing over and control you by making it a 15-minute city or whatever. You were getting a little too comfortable. Just burn it out. Ooh, there was too much art going on in Lahaina. Got to get rid of those fucking artisans. They're not fucking around, guys. Might be time to wake up. I love my neighbor. I have a neighbor. I'm pretty sure she does OnlyFans. And she's girl next door, 100%. No supermodel. Just not a bad looking girl. She's not a good looking. She's just average, solid, scando American girl. I'm pretty sure she does. And good for her. I don't give a shit. But see, that's where we are. That's how we know in this society how far. I mean, we're at the end of things. And if you want to know what happened in the end of things, you can go to Jason. You can go to a couple other places. I can't put links because they're not YouTube. But what's his name? Here, I can tell you it. Let me find it. Hold on a second. Sorry. No, wait. I don't want bookmarks. I want history. And what was the guy's name? He was just on USA Watchdog. And he hasn't been on for a while. And I can't put his link and shit. It's way back there. But basically, it's 2025 predictions, macro predictions. And it's called immersion revision, or immersion reversion is what it's called. And I'm trying to think of the guy's name. It's making me crazy. And like I said, I can put it in the chat. This is worth your time. That's what I will do. I will put it in the chat, but I will not put it underneath because, yes. All right. Because I'm finding out that the reason why they're taking my videos down is because I have all these links to all these sites that they don't want you going to. So I can only talk about them. But anyway, in here, this book right here, the last book inside here is called Revelation. And inside Revelation, they tell you what they're going to do. Going to get fire, going to get floods, going to get guys poking you. And they're under the seals. It's a metaphor. It's a complex metaphor. But it's the beginning of the year, and there's many things. Okay, we're just finishing up Year of the Dragon. And Year of the Dragon for me I thought was going to be a warrior year, but actually what it was a repair year. It was a restructuring year. It was a healing year. It was a rejuvenation year. Go look the videos. Go look them. I don't look as old now as I did a year ago. Why is that? Well, there's a bunch of things I've been doing, and I should talk about that. There's a lot of people want to hear. What the fuck do you do? What are you doing? How are you 60 years old and you're not all gray? Okay, there's a lot of things I do. It's not just one thing. It's a bunch of things. And a lot of things I do, you won't do. And a lot of those things that I do, I discovered, the Masons know about this. They know about this. They just kept it from you and gave you pharmakia instead. Oh, wow. These guys typing over here. Loving the miss. Yep. Disgusting. Hey. How you guys doing? I've said it before. I should have said it at the beginning. I said it a couple times. Okay. People in LA, tell them to get respirators. Because the shit in LA that ash is toxic. Tell them to get respirators. Tell them to motor on down to Harbor Freight and get painter's mask, they call them, right? Not just a fucking mask that they were using for this bullshit, right? Get them to get masks on, because now, especially now that these people have done this, they are much more susceptible to the dioxins that are extreme carcinogens that they're breathing in the dust. And a lot of it, I mean, anyway, tell them to get masks. Yes, I'm in Phoenix. And see, this city is on the list. San Diego, you on the list? Florida, obviously, every city in Florida, you on the list? Texas, every city on the border, you on the list? New Mexico. And on top of that, New Mexico, you blue, so there's some red guys mad at you. So they're going to make some of you guys pay. See, because here's the thing, guys. Now that I've kind of I recognize poison when I see it. I also recognize corruption. I also recognize the fact that these guys not your friends. United States Corporation, not your friend. Period. And they have plans. Good guys and bad guys. And they're fighting with each other. And you guys in the blue states, I would be, if you're in Portland and Seattle, and I'd be concerned. Spokane, I'd be concerned. Same thing. New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and all you blue guys, I would be concerned. They're going to fuck with you and blame it on Trump. But you guys are going to be the one that suffers. See, because what you got going on right now is reality TV, but the fires are fucking real. The houses burned to the ground. Those are real. But if you can't figure out that this was contrived, I feel sorry for you. What are you guys typing over here? You never know. Brentwood was one of their hangouts. Pacific Palisades was definitely one of their hangouts. And it's gone. So me was you, I would prepare. Even so. Grab and go bag. Because they're going to call it weather. But grab and go bag. And you see, for some of these people, having prepped and supplies, no make difference when your house burns to the ground. So a lot of those people, they have secondary place, primary residence, right? That's serious prepping, where you have multiple places, right? But the idea being is that there's a lot of people that could have prepared a lot better and still have a house. And there's a lot of people now in LA, they wish they had their own electricity or generators or devices. They wish they had, and yeah. See, because they're going to rebuild stuff. But in the meantime, a lot of the stores and a lot of places is going to be difficult to get to. And it can be nice to be able to just go to your closet and have some food in there, wouldn't it? I know some people in Lahaina, that was the case. Because all the places that they had to go to get food were far away. Well, relatively speaking, it's Maui. How far can it be? But you know what I mean. Same thing will be in LA, though. So if your house didn't burn down, might have been a good idea to have some preppage going on. And I'm going to tell you, there are at least, I've heard the low number is like 10 cities. I've heard the high number is like 21 cities. But there's a battle going on, and some cities are going to be sacrificed. The bad guys are very bad, and they are numerous. The good guys, and I use the term loosely, may have to give up some ground. If you've ever played a strategy game, sometimes you got to let that city fall so you can take that city. Or sometimes you got to let there be casualties here so you can do things there. So if you happen to be in one of the places where the casualties are going to be, where they've conceded the point, maybe you want to be prepared. Like I said, you're on battlefield North America. Get your fucking paperwork in order so you can move. And then a lot of people are starting to figure out there's no place to go, guys. The ones that are running away, they're not running away because they want freedom. They're running away because they're trying to avoid persecution or prosecution. And it's going to be persecution soon, because I am concerned that this keeps up, and we're not going to use the indictment process and grand juries and indictments and jury trials and execution that way. Because a lot of these people are going to get pissy, and there's a chance that we've had lynchings get out of control in this country before. It's not like it's never happened. They downplay it in history books all over the place, but it's happened all over Europe. It's happened all over Europe, not just the French. All over the United States, not just down south. Plenty of that shit in Philadelphia. Plenty of that shit in New York. Don't fucking kid yourselves. If it falls apart, anyway. But the idea being is that you want to keep it together, and there is no place to go. So the place where we make our stand is on the North American continent. And we need to, the foreign invaders need to be shed, because the foreign invaders are corrupt. They don't love you. And not only are they corrupt, they're evil. Some of them very, very evil. Like trick you into aborting your baby, because that abortion they consider a sacrifice to their God. So they'll trick you into thinking, that's not kind of inconvenient, isn't it? You should get rid of that. Oh, don't. I know it's only been 2 weeks. You let it, right? But I know more than a few women on Maui that went in for their procedure, and the doctors made them wait a little longer. Why would you want the baby to mature more? I also happen to know people personally who came out of the chute at 4 months and are still alive. Came out of the chute at 6 months, still alive. The preemies. So why would they want to wait? Anyway, these people evil. They're horrifyingly evil. They're evil beyond your comprehension. I'm not going to try to go there and make you understand how evil they are, because that's an exercise in futility. Also difficult on my mind too. But just understand, or see, that's the problem. You can't understand how evil these people are. Further, it's not us. It's not organic. It's AI. It has no feelings. It's just calculus. It's just math. They needed to balance their books. So one of the things they needed to do was get rid of quote unquote useless eaters. They also needed to get rid of the ones that were going to be a tax on the system. And all of those members that would be a tax on the system were over my age. Right? 65, 60 older. Right? That older crowd, they got rid of many, many, many of those, which is why there's so many fucking houses on the markets. Which is why you see existing homes. There's a guy that has a channel here, and you can see existing home listings in the last 4 years. What happened? Why are all these homes being lit? Well, because dead people don't live in homes. They live in the ground. Actually, they don't live there. They lay there. And that tombstone is going to be in all caps if they have one. It's not going to be in lowercase. It's not going to be in title case. It's going to be in all caps. Because you are, at that point, in fact, the dead thing. Now, maybe you want to separate yourself from being the dead thing by learning a little bit about uppercase and lowercase when it comes to your name. And you might want to know what's in a name. And you might want to understand that the living man is got a name, but the name is not the same as the living man. And there's a couple of names. Gandalf told you I go by many names. Over here, I'm 100th Monkey. Crouton Ramon is a living individual. There's this guy, Ben H. Rogers. There's this other guy, Ben Hosea. That's the thing that's talking to you now. Right? These are all separate entities. Some of them have numbers. And again, when you put your documents in, tell them what the words mean. Tell them who you are. Introduce yourself. Don't ask permission to be recognized. Tell them to recognize you. Hi, I'm the living man. I'm not the same as a sole proprietorship with this Social Security number. I represent that. It was made for my benefit. I use it in commerce. I am not responsible according to the Supreme Court. Right? You cannot hold me. Because what they're doing is admiralty jurisdiction. So what they'll do is they'll take something of yours, in this case, your body, in order to get you to appear. Because in the old days, some of the kings and queens and maybe some of the aristocracy, they just wouldn't appear. So in order to force them to appear, they'd take something from them. Might be a slave, even. One of their servants. Might be gold. Might be some of their property. Might be a horse. And they did this in order to get you to appear in their court. Or at least respond. Or perform. Oh, jeez. Let's not get too crazy. Yeah. Admiralty. It's martial law that we're under. So just understand the law. Right? And understand there's a difference between statute and law. Understand that there's common law, and then there's admiralty. I'll put some stuff down there. Yusuf L. Spit a bunch of truth. I don't see how those videos are even going to stay up. One of them, I'll put them down there after this. I'd recommend you watch it because he talks about the peculiar institution a little bit. And he talks about that once you start knowing the law, there are only so many jurisdictions. Right? So you need to read their paperwork so you can understand where you might fall under those jurisdictions. Ooh, they don't have jurisdiction over the living man. They have jurisdiction over the enlegius. Now they can create an enlegius that a debt for the enlegius the living man has to take care of. And the way you're going to take care of that is A, with labor, or B, with a trust account, or C, with a signature. I'll tell you a story. I was once in court. And at that time, I never know nothing compared to what I know now. I knew a little bit. I knew enough to get me in trouble. How's that? I knew enough to get me out of the courtroom, but not to do things correctly. It was a traffic ticket, I believe. Oh, no. What it was, and I had totally spaced it. I didn't do it on purpose. I wasn't being a dick at that time. Now I'm being a dick. But at that time, I was not being a dick. I just had forgotten to renew my license and my car registered. Everything was expired. And a cop came up behind me and noticed that and stopped me. Because, they're administering their property, which I registered, gave to them as a gift. And the cop assumes that I am involved in commercial activity and that I'm operating a motor vehicle in commerce for profit. And it's her job to make sure that all the stickers and everything are fucking intact. So she pulled me over and said, "Hey, bro, your ticket used to..." Oh, shit. And I gave her my driver's license. And she's like, "Bro," she comes back, "your driver's license expired." I was like, "What?" "Yep, because, they want money from you. Over here, the driver's license in Hawaii, you got to renew it right? Because they want money from you to exercise your right to travel." Okay. Bro, that's some pretty serious tickets. Like multiple $100 tickets. And I know this because I went into court, but I had signed the document, right? Because I knew enough to reserve my rights in UCC 1308. And what I should have done is without recourse and just handle it. Never fucking went into the courtroom. Now I know this. Right? Don't even show up. If you show up, you're guilty. You're already considered guilty. Right? They assume many things if you show up in their courtroom. and you take off your hat and you stand when they tell you to stand. Okay, so now you have what is that called? That's consent. Yeah, that's what that's called. But wait, not just consent. It's there's oh crap, there's a term for it and I'm missing it. I'll come back to it. But anyway, the idea is that you are obeying them. So you are basically by default acknowledging their jurisdiction over you. Right? Okay. So I walk in the courtroom, long story short. It's not long story long. And they make me come last. So all day I'm watching these guys driving without license, $400 fine, driving without $700 fine, driving without expired registration and license, $700 fine, no $400 fine, no $500 fine, no $300 fine. And I'm like, I'm not paying you. I didn't say that, but that's what I was saying. Okay. Then I had signed my ticket and so forth. And I didn't, right? And I said, I had committed no crime. No one was injured. That doesn't matter. Anyway, and I said a couple other things. And the prosecutor looked at me and he took a piece of, and he literally did this. Wait. Clearly a blank sheet of paper. He did this. Laid it down on his table and slid it over to me. Now, what I should have done is sign the fucking paper and walked out of there. It would have been dismissed, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But what they would have done is they would have bonded my signature, taken it out of my trust account. No one's the wiser. No one cares. And I'm out the door. Nope. I didn't. Too stupid. Didn't know what to do. Didn't sign it. Didn't know how to sign it. Didn't know how to endorse it. I would have given them a proper endorsement. And they would have made a bond and everything would have been happy. Nope. Too stupid. So, and then the best part of it, you got to go in court and see this stuff. Because you can't just read about it and you can't get it in the book. The prosecutor and the judge looked at each other and said 10,000 words. This nigga don't know what's going on. He say one, but it's right. This nigga don't even know his name. Because I didn't at that time. I still thought that it was Ben H. Rogers and that I was Ben H. Rogers in all caps. See, and I fucked around. That's one judge. I won't even get into it. See, I get myself in trouble in these videos. But I fucked around with this one judge and made her change my name 3 times. Because it's all about your name. And if they don't have your name, they can't proceed. They must identify you with a name. Anyway, so he looks at me and says, would you get out of this court for $20? And I had just been listening to all these people paying multi-$100 fines. And it was for the exact same charges that I had. And they were going to discharge it for $20. For 20 of these. Or, well, one of these. 20 of these. Like, here, would you get out of the court for $20? And I was like, what I should have said is no. But I didn't, please use my account. Please use my trust account. That's your social security number with no dashes to settle this matter. But no, I didn't know any of that. And the charges against the thing for operating a motor vehicle without license. This is a living man here, and I'm the beneficiary of this trust and so forth. But you've now turned me into the trustee, and you're being the beneficiary, and you want to benefit by $20. And when I went downstairs, because I said yes, of course I said yes. Dumas. And then when I went downstairs, there was like an $80 processing fee and $20. So I walked out of there for $100. I didn't walk out of there scot-free. But I didn't pay the exorbitant fees that the other slaves did. And on that day, they marked this slave. Watch that one. Okay. I have become ever so much more educated since then. And understand that even the ones with education, 99.999% do nothing. So when they sit up there and say, what are you going to do about it, slave? They know the response is, nothing. I do nothing. Here's my $20. But every once in a while, you get them slaves that fucking pull them judges down off of their little seats and use the admiralty to do it because they know how. And sometimes they may fuck up in the lower courts, and somebody in the higher courts are like, fuck, right? And you got to understand, it's a Masonic thing going on there. It's not fucking what you think. It's not, right? Okay, you fucked up, and we're going to discipline you. And you fucked up so hard that the fucking slave came to us and made us have to fucking take care of you. Don't do that again. Or you don't get to wear the robes, and you don't get to be a clerk, and you don't get to be a prosecutor. And not only that, we're so fucking pissed at you, we may actually take some action where you like lose time or have to give us money. Because they're administrating you. In this book, more easy read them over here than find in the book and do it instantaneously. Understand this. It's Sunday, so we got to do a little bit of reading. But understand, I'm not a carnal Christian, and I'm not a crucified Christian. I'm a Gnostic. These are stories. These are good stories. These are parables. These are deep truths that you can use to navigate in this matrix. Let's go with Ecclesiastes. Oops, I want King James. I do not like the New English version. Actually, you know what? We'll just do a Funhouse version where they give you all those things. Let's see here. So I want Ecclesiastes. Oh, yeah, I love this because you can choose 100 different versions. And I do not want 1. I want 5. And let's see here. One more. You can hear the computer. Can you hear the fans going? Because it's got to process all the stuff they want to know. Here's 5. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God, or God in heaven, or gods in heaven. Thou upon the earth, therefore let thy words be few, he said, talking for many hours on the YouTubes. Okay, and then in here it says, this is 5, when thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Honor your oaths. Some of you had taken oaths to uphold the Constitution, and then you violated those oaths. Some of you had oaths that, anyway, you violated your oaths. And this book here tells you that's a big, bad, naughty no-no. So if I can prove that you were violating your oaths, like I said, the guys above you may get a little tasty, or a little testy with you. Okay. And let us continue. Wait a minute here. The temperature is 62 degrees. It's a bright sunny day, and it's 60 degrees out there. What the hell? All right, sorry. Distraction. Here, very quick. There you go. So now I want to go 5/8. Oh, just a little further down on the page I was already reading. Let's see here. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm in 6. That's why. Hold on a second. We'll go back to 5, and I read you 5/8. If thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. What the heck do that say? That's what I'm talking about right here. Let me give you how about New English translation. Go up to it. I'll read it to you in the New English translation instead of the. If you see the extortion of the poor or the perversion of justice and fairness in government, do not be astonished by the matter, for the high official is watched by a higher official, and there be higher ones over them. Okay. So what they're telling you? Here's what they're telling you. And you got to understand, the lowest courts are the most corrupt courts, the family courts, the ones that interface most directly, right? The ones that the cops deal with traffic tickets and so forth. The low courts. Okay. The low courts have people above them, right? Those would be the appellate courts, right? And they'll try and trick you to get into appeals. And all these guys, Brandon Joe Williams, fuck, 100 of them. They all want you to get into court. As soon as you walk into court, you're going to get bonded. And they don't want you to know nothing about them bonds. They don't talk about the bonds. I know it's Brandon Joe Williams don't talk about bonds hardly at all. But they're going to bond you. It's bonding. That's right. And what is bond? A bonded man. A bonded man is a slave. Right? Free or bond. This book talks about free or bond. You know how much this book talks about slavery? This book talks about slavery all the time. Bonnie Chappell's talk about slavery. Okay, slaves. Don't go into their courts, because if you go into their courts, well, one, they consider you a slave. Two, they consider that they have plenty of power over you. Ultimate power. They can tell you whether you can live or die. Okay, so you need to understand that when you walk into their courtroom, certain things are going on, and most of you don't know what's going on, right? So your consent is either, there you go. This is what I was talking about earlier that I couldn't think. Express or implied. Express consent is when you write down express consent. I'm registering to vote. Here is my signature. Yes, I understand that I'm a U.S. citizen and I'm giving up all my unalienable rights, all my God-given rights. Yeah, I'd rather have benefits and privileges that can be bestowed or taken away by this Congress. And we got this little set here that says, I'm supposed to be able to speak freely, except, if I'm using this corporation, I'm not allowed to speak freely. And now everybody starts to understand why that was the first fucking one. And then I have the right to defend myself and use arms. If it's the corporation, those are firearms, and that's not the same as an arm. And they have definitions for firearms as compared to arms. And see, that's what I mean. In your court, in your paperwork, you want everybody to understand what's going on. So you need to define the fucking words that you're using, because it's a word game. So you need to introduce yourself. Who am I? So from now on, whenever you see I, lowercase I, that means me. That means the living man, Ben Hosea. It's not the 100 Monkey. It's not Crouton Ramon. It's not Ben H. Rogers. It's not the sole proprietorship. It's not anybody else. That I is the living man. The living man's name, the one my mom and my grandmother and my father came together and decided upon, was Ben Hosea. Everyone in my family, going back many generations, is on one side, Ben, and on the other side, Hosea. So on the Moore side, those are Hoseas. And some of them were Ben Hosea like me. Some of them were Hosea. Some of them were Nahaz Hosea. Some of them were Hosea Rogers. Some of them were Hosea. There were many Hoseas going back many generations into slave times. And before slave times, because we were not always slaves. We were once free men on this land. But then we lost the war, and my family got enslaved. Well, that side of the family got enslaved on the Rogers Plantation in a place called Alabama. And then these other guys, my son's mother's side, they were enslaved on the Boone Plantation in a place called Virginia. And it was temporary. We were not enslaved forever. And then these guys came along and said, if you don't want to be slaves anymore, well, you got to do some stuff. because they decided, the conscious wigs, that they have to have your consent. These guys in the Temple of Liberty, you must be consenting, or they cannot operate on you without karma. And they want you Christians to not think that there's such a thing. But it's because of that they tell us what they're going to do every fucking time, all the time. They told you they were going to burn LA. They told you they were going to knock down a couple towers. They told you in advance. The insurance companies looked around and went, wait a second. Yeah. There's no water in the reservoirs. They didn't run a test on the hydrants like they were supposed to. They didn't do. You know what? I think we don't want to insure you guys. Now, had there been water in the hydrants and lots of water in the reservoir and behind dams, and they had water flow and they weren't fucking letting all the water flow into the oceans, the insurance companies might have gone, well, you know, they have a chance at fighting this fire, so yeah, we'll take the risk. But when there's no chance, and you see in real time, this fucking fire has been burning for days now, the insurance companies made a shrewd business decision not to insure tinderboxes. Why are you mad? I wouldn't insure a tinderbox either. Neither would you if it was your fucking business. You'd make fucking sure that the thing you were insuring had a good possibility of being saved in case of fire or other catastrophe. Right? Little things like, oh, let's not build it in a floodplain. Oh, let's in Hawaii, there are certain things you can do to build it so that the winds are high, the roof doesn't blow off. So we don't have to replace it, because prevention rather than cure. Right? This is not crazy talk. But the idea being is that they absolutely have a set of principles that they abide by. Underlying principles. Read the fucking maxims. You want to shut a lawyer down or a judge down, you can do it with maxims, because they will not go against the maxims. But in order to use the maxims, you got to be able to read the maxims, and then you got to be able to apply the maxims. And guess what? There's maxims in here. I just read you one. Came in the form of Ecclesiastes. This guy's down here fucking with you, you go above them. Them guys fucking with you, you go above them. And hopefully somewhere in there, there's a just man. But your government has become so corrupt that most of the time you can't get justice. You have no remedy. You are a slave. And you wouldn't be, in their mind, you wouldn't even be there if you didn't do something. I know what I did. And I gave them every opportunity to come and fuck with me. And then, when they gave me finals, right? Here's your test, slave. I failed it miserably. I want to take a retest, but that's not how this game works. Well, maybe it will. But the idea being is that, okay, I know a little bit more than I did then. I have subrogated myself and I have informed them. I have let the FTC know, because it's all about commerce and trade. And I have some other documents right here. And see, I did it the right way. There's a court case you can look up. I gave it to you in the other video. And there's this that they can look up that lets them know that my documents are legit and signed and recorded. And that there is now a difference between the thing that's talking to you and the thing on the paper. I am not the defendant. I am the accused. I am not going to accept these charges. In fact, I'm going to make a counterclaim. Deny, counterclaim. Deny, counterclaim. I do not deny that you have jurisdiction over my allegiance, but I do deny that you have jurisdiction over the living man and that you can compel performance. Now, if that's your attitude, then when you fucking walk into that courtroom, you better not take your hat off. or that's implied consent. You better not sit down when they tell you to fucking sit down, or that's implied consent. You better not stand up when they tell you to fucking stand up, or that's implied consent. You better not make a motion, or that's absolutely you consenting to their authority. You want to move in their courtroom. Not in their court, in their courtroom. Your court is on your paper. Your court is contained inside the metes and bounds of this. So you control it from here to here. Do not give them the opportunity. And that's why you'll see notaries put X's and all kind of stuff on the bottom of the paper underneath the signature so that you can't put extra stuff there. And then you got to understand, public, oh, look, it's blank. Private, you can't tell the difference until I put some marks on this page. But one side is public and one side is private. And I have witnessed with my own eyes, judges flip pieces of paper over and they see nothing there because there isn't anything there because you didn't put a stamp there and you didn't put C reverse. Because you an ignorant slave. But now you're not so ignorant because I'm dropping some truth bombs on you. And I'm going to put some videos down there and you can have Yusuf L, who I have some differences with Yusuf L, but it's the same thing in D&D. He running his dungeon different than my dungeon. He had different kind of DM, but I read every fucking thing he's read and maybe more. But then I can see that once in a while, there's shit that I haven't read that he's read. And guess what? He tells me about it and then I go read it. And then, of course, when you read one thing, like you read this book is going to take you other places. There's other stuff to read. Right? Oh, and one thing I want to tell you in this book, right? This book, right off it defines admiralty right off the bat and civil jurisdiction and how the admiralty performs in civil jurisdiction upon the land. Nothing new under the sun, my friends. And they hide nothing from you, which is why they hold us in such contempt. Because they hide nothing from us, and most niggas too fucking lazy to read. Because like my grandma said, you want to fucking hide knowledge from a nigga, put that knowledge in a book and then put the book in a fucking library. You playing a fucking word game, you got to know what the words mean. So maybe you need some dictionaries, and maybe you better read the things. And then commit some of those definitions to memory. And if you can't commit them to memory, write shit down. And writing them down like this, not so good. Do I have them here? Yes, they're buried. Writing shit down. I've done this before and shown you. Oh, for God's sakes. Writing shit down like this is a little better because I look at this piece of paper and immediately, boom, I know. Oh, letter of intent. That's what this thing is about. Letter of credit. Oh, look. Right? Fraudulent concealment. Oh, maritime law. Oh, 98 series EIN numbers. What do you need those for? Oh, it's a foreign EIN because you're foreign to the DC Corporation. That's all on that one sheet of paper. Oh, look, and we're talking about this because you see up in the corner there with the squares? Yeah. And the UPU, oh, the Universal Postal Union. And it's all in different colors. Oh, look, here's another one. Oh, look, I put some symbols on there, mind maps. So that's all right. All this stuff. See? All right. Law. What are we talking about? Okay. Or you can just take notes like this all in one color if you want to. But I'm telling you, those other ones are better. And see, like even this one, I was thinking I should get my pens out and do it because I'm looking over this and then seeing all the different things that I wanted to talk about in this video, and I'll bet you I didn't cover all of them. Even though I've been talking for ever and a day now. We're going on 3.5 hours. It's time to quit. All right. And then there's going to be videos down there that you need to look at when it comes to understanding some of the things I'm talking about. But the letter rogatory, hugely powerful if you know what the fuck's going on. And the letter rogatory in and of itself lets them know that you understand that you have this thing over here, and then you have this thing over here. And this thing over here, no can talk, and it needs representation. It can do nothing. So they have in their statutes, in their merchant, they tell you that they cannot act upon this thing because it's not fair. without it having some representation. And if you don't can afford the representation, they're going to represent somebody for you. They're going to right? The public defender's office no longer can represent me because they have a conflict of interest, because I am aware of the fact that they are attorneying me for the judge. And I made them aware of the facts. The Maui County the public defender's office, they don't like represent me. They don't like have a contract with, they don't like do nothing with me because they know they can be held liable. So they went to appoint this other guy. Okay, cool. You're representing the thing. I'm not. That means he is. So I'm not responsible. You are. Okay, so being that you're representing my guy in court, my all caps name, my sole proprietorship, that has a social security number. You guys got DUNS numbers. I got a social security number. We're all doing commerce. Name and number. Name and number. Okay, you're representing that name and number for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write some stuff down and tell you, give you directions, a letter rogatory, give you instructions on what I want you to do. I want you to settle this matter for me. And the way you're going to settle it is, and my lawyer, I don't know what you're talking about, is you're going to settle it with my social security number without dashes. You're going to take it out of my trust account and settle this matter. No, I don't know what you're talking about. The judge knew what I was talking about. Okay, so then I got to make some counterclaims. And there's a bunch of fraud going on. And like I said, never got an indictment, never got anything. They backdated a bunch of stuff. They did all kind of naughty stuff. And I don't want to talk about it too much here because I know they watch these fucking videos and it gives them an idea of what might be coming for them. And I didn't want them to know, to the point where I don't even type on my computer anymore. I write stuff down in letters. And this is the way to do it anyway, given by your hand. Problem is my hand, being that I went to slave school and I didn't pay attention, and mommy didn't think it was a big deal. My hand is chicken scratch. I don't write neatly. Right. So penmanship, rather important. If you have offspring, penmanship, and I failed on my sons because my son's penmanship is also horrifying. But there can be no mistake if it's written in your hand and has your sign of nature underneath it, and you understand how to control the document from here to here and on both sides, public and private, and that you can't mix this side of the paper with this side of the paper. You cannot mix public and private. And Yusuf L goes in, and so does the Lone Wolf, and so did Patrick Devine, and so did a bunch of other guys. Mr. Beneficiary, that guy's awesome. And there's some other guys that got half truths or got halfway there, thought they might know a little more than they do, and turns out they don't. But see, it's a personal journey and it's a spiritual journey on top of everything else. Once you're going to figure that out, you're diving into the world of good and evil, and you're deciding I am a man and I'm on the right hand path, or you can be a man on the left hand path. I'd pick the right hand path. It's the harder path, but I'd pick the right hand path. And then you're going to find out that there are others. And I haven't gone there today, but there are others. Anyway, so see, we have lots of videos coming up. I'm going to talk about pee. I'm going to talk about red light therapy. I'm going to talk about supplements. I'm going to talk about water filters. I got so much to talk about. I'm going to talk about a little more with my paperwork. But like I said, I keep most of that to myself because this is high stakes. Capital offenses, kidnapping, according to their own statutes. You conspire to kidnap, hung until the neck, hung by the neck until dead. You commit fraud. You commit breach of trust. And see, that's what I talk about when I read you Ecclesiastes. There are some Masons that really, really fucking take breach of trust seriously. Worse than murder. The highest offense is to break someone's trust. And see, others can say, right? The minions can say, oh, we didn't breach trust. He was deceived and he chose to be deceived. He implied consent. Not only did he, sometimes he expressly gave us consent by signing documents. In this whole ordeal with me, 143 days inside, I signed one piece of paper once. And that was not admitting, and that was like, okay, my bad. Here's some money. We'll take care of it. All right. One more break. That's how long it's been. Holy God. And I will be right back. Need something to drink is what I need. Okay, then I won't quit. Two things that I thought about while I was over there. One, breach of trust. And that's why I read the Ecclesiastes, because there are some where you can complain about the guys in the lower courts. And see, you don't want to be a complainer. You want to make claims. But anyway, you can complain about the guys in the lower courts, and the guys in the upper courts will bust their asses. Because good or evil, they take the rules seriously, some of them. However, I can show you documents from people on Maui where we wrote to the courts, because I delivered all of them. I did all the service and so forth, where the judges basically said, those are just guidelines. We don't have to follow those rules. Those aren't laws. It's our court. We make the rules. What the fuck? What is wrong with you peasants? Fuck. Dumbasses. Anyway. And then just really quickly, and it's going to be its whole own video. You think Trump doesn't notice stuff? You think Trump isn't aware of the Baphomet? You think Trump doesn't know that there's evil in the world, and that some of his friends and confidants and other people that he may even be related to are fully in the cult, the death cult? And there are many death cults. There are many of the old gods, but a lot of them just, we're talking about the top of the pyramid: Kali, Lucifer, Isis, Ra, El, Baphomets, the Satan, the adversary, hero with 1,000 faces, except the evil hero. But see, there's the good hero too, and we got guys like Michael and Gabriel, and then you have the Christ. It's not some guy that's going to show up next week or this year. He's already here, if you want to personify it. It's within you. And I proved this on more than one occasion. Little old me. Men that were drug dealers and thieves and murderers, killers of men. I slept near them, next to them, above them in bunk beds for weeks. I'm trying to decide what stories I want to say. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, the whole fucking system, Trump is aware. Like, it makes me, you think that he doesn't know that the U.S. corporation is used for traffic, that it's part of the empire of the city. He did the Triple Crown. He's ignorant of the Triple Crown. You saw the way he acted. You saw the way he went around the Saudi Arabian king, who was not pleased about this, but our guns and clubs are bigger than their guns and clubs, economically and financially and physically and weaponry. I mean, like actual weaponry. And anyway, the point being is that he understands 100% what he's doing when he gets you to sign the document that says you are a U.S. person able to vote in the U.S. election. He knows the difference between Americans on the land and citizens in the corporation. And you're fooling yourself if you think he doesn't. He also understands the fight that we're in, the struggle of good and evil. I believe he has chosen mostly to be, quote unquote, good, but he still considers you and me slaves. We are chattel property. We are to be managed. We are to be administered. We are a resource. Like water is a resource. Like gold and silver are resources. That's another thing. I gotta make a whole video. I can go this long or more just on silver. And I'll close with that. Get silver. Get silver dimes. Right? Get as many as you can, as much as you can afford. Your own body weight in silver. Then not gold, silver. If you like gold, get silver, because eventually you're going to have, I put it there, the revision to mean thing, but eventually you're going to be able to trade your silver for gold. And right now, you get like fucking something ridiculous, like 90 pieces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. But eventually you're going to get like, it's going to be like 17 ounces of silver for an ounce of gold. So it would make sense to trade your gold for silver right now, wait for the revision, and then buy back your gold. And you'll have a hell of a lot more gold with the exact same amount of silver. Things are going to rebalance. There's all kind of, I mean, like I said, this is all going to change. This is change right in front of our eyes in the next little while. How long the transition is going to be, I don't know. Is the transition going to be smooth? It doesn't look like it to me. Looks a little dangerous, which is why I talk about the prepping and being able to have food and so on. But even not with the financial condition, what if something like Lahaina, or what if something like freaking California, what's going on right now? Okay, the house next burned, but your house fine. But now you know more electricity and you know more water. So what you gonna do? Can you live in the house? Well, if you've stocked up water and food, you can. Otherwise, I have friends in Lahaina. Their house was fine, but they couldn't live there. They camped there so that people didn't loot it, because that was the thing in Lahaina too. 10 times more with the gangs of LA. In LA, you maybe want to stay in your house, but no more water, no more electricity. So yeah, there's going to be curfews and martial law and fucking all that. The people in North Carolina and Tennessee would have loved to have seen the National Guard show up in numbers, in large numbers, because a hell of a lot of looting and stuff, they didn't, the looting, not so much, from what I understand in North Carolina. I'm not as well connected. I have a couple clients out there, but what they were telling me, because communities know communities, but what they were telling me is that, yeah, that shit didn't fly out there. Because guess what? Them mountain people, they own firearms and they protect their shit. But it still would have been nice to have the North Carolina National Guard show up and support and house and so forth. There's fucking Americans right now freezing to fucking death on the ground in 17-degree weather, if you believe the stories. And we got guys getting kicked out of hotels, just like the guys in Maui got kicked out of hotels. Except the guys on Maui, when they got kicked out of hotels, you can always go sleep on a beach or in your car and you're not going to fucking freeze to death. Whereas the guys in North Carolina, it's 17 fucking degrees. These are Americans. These are your countrymen. You can't help everybody. You got people in LA that need help. Fortunately, a lot of them, not so much, because a lot of them had fat bank accounts. But not all of them. A lot of them are just middle class, regular guys, and their fucking whole everything was the house. Their net worth was the house, which they paid off with their labor, and now it's ashes. And they're not going to get no insurance for it. So yeah, there's several thousand families in the LA area, more than that. Thousands of families, hundreds, 180,000 is the last I saw were evacuated. You know how many? That's everybody on Maui and more evacuated, had to move from one place to another. Anyway, the way you're going to weather the storms that are coming, and we got more storms. This is the beginning. This is January fucking 12th. There's much more coming. Polycrisis. They're gonna hit you with every fucking thing. They want your mind. They want you begging them. Please save us. Please. I can't take anymore. That's what they're going to wear you to fuck down. That's the job. And you're going to resist the same way. I got it from all sides. My son's got it from all. My one son caved and immediately regretted that he caved. But he was a fucking teen. He was 14 years old at the time. Barely 15. And he didn't have me there, and he's a little upset about the fact, to help him resist. My other son did, though. See, neither one of my son, I have one son that has had exactly 2 shots, and we have done everything to mitigate that. And I have one son that has never had a vax, and he's fine. Fuck all y'all that think that there's some kind of magic in that fucking needle that he needed to be healthy. The exact opposite is true, and that's how you know they're demons. I mean, just look and see. And to see if you do your reading and they will tell you the exact opposite of the truth. And you're supposed to know that it's the exact opposite of the truth, so you can call bullshit. It's all a test. They test constantly. And homeboy, so you do your own research and reading, because I failed my test. So I wouldn't be the guy to come to for advice and information. But I can tell you what happened, and I can tell you I've learned a lot since then, and I paid attention when I was in their courtrooms, and I was in their courtrooms a lot. I was in the courtrooms when I didn't need to be in their courtrooms. Me and this other guy, we used to sit in the court and just watch procedure. And here's the thing I've noticed, and like I said, I'm about to quit here, but they don't fight if they can't win. Right? So they'll always just back. If you got them dead to rights, they'll just withdraw. And the judge will say something like, in the interest of justice, we've decided to dismiss this case. In the interest of just, or whatever. Right? Oh, $20, get out of my courtroom. Oh, take the plea deal. And this all goes away in 6 months. You be a good boy for 6 months, and this goes away. Oh, wait. You got to be a good boy for 6 months, but give some money first. Well, give us a couple $100,000 or 10,000 or 5,000 or little guys. Oh, you tried to stab that guy? Give us like $500 in the bond. And then promise you won't do it again. I was in there with guys, right? My offense was traveling with my son from Hawaii to California without the permission of his mother or the state. That was my offense. $50,000 bond they gave me. Meantime, I'm in there. There's guys, assault with a deadly weapon. Oh, yeah, I stabbed the guy a couple of times, but he survived. So, yeah, what's your bond? $5,000. What's your bond? $10,000. One guy was bonded, it was like $1,200. There's another guy who was like, the bond was $500 and he couldn't come up. You need like 10%, and he didn't have $50 to get himself out. Anyway, point here is that I have some experience, and I can look back with the 2020 hindsight and go, oh, I should have done this. I should. And I also did a lot of head them off at the past things, right? Because the number one thing, once again, gentlemen give notice, and you're not giving notice. You're not telling them. So they're assuming, they're making a bunch of assumptions. So I rebutted every assumption and presumption, and they did not counter, right? An unrebutted affidavit stands as law. My affidavits are unrebutted. Yusuf L will talk to you about the third 3-step process, right? Administrative process, where you make your claims, you deny, make your counterclaim. And if they don't counterclaim your counterclaim, they don't come up with a reason why they shouldn't pay you, or they don't come up with something where they need to, right? Then you have a default judgment. And then you can go perfect that default judgment. And part of your default judgment, you should do that before you write your letter of rogatory to your lawyer, so that you have those default judgments to fall back on. Like, you can send a simple default judgment. I am not the defendant. I am the accused. Right? I deny that I'm the defendant. And if you can prove that Ben Hosea is the same as Ben H. Rogers, that the living man in the private is the same as the public in Legis, they can't, and they won't even attempt to. But most people don't even know to answer. They put that down paper. You don't know to say that. Because you're confused and they're thinking that it's the same thing. But once you have a letter rogatory and once you understand administrative process, boom, you can move. And technically you're not moving. You stay the fuck out of there so you don't have to move. You slap a few things like this on there and you send it to them so they can't say they didn't have it. And then you make it so that they have to respond to you. And if they don't respond to you, they default. This is the 10,000 foot view. Now there's processes inside there. But the bottom line is you give notice, you let them know who you are. You let them know you know who they are. You let them know that you have no contract. You let them know that you are signing without recourse. You let them understand that there are two different entities here, this living man and this Eligius. Just like you have a judge that's acting, there's a man that's acting as a judge. He's not judge. He's a man that's acting as a judge. And the judge in that court can be a different person, right? The Dread Pirate Roberts doesn't have to be the Dread Pirate Roberts, right? The prosecutor can be a lot of different people as the prosecutor, but they got to sign on and let the court know that they're acting as the prosecutor, or they're acting as the public defender, or they're acting as the clerk, or they're acting as the judge. But those are men assuming roles, just like you are a man assuming the role. And you can say, like I did, I don't want to assume this role. In fact, not only that, here's some documents where I'm going to withdraw as the representative. And I'm going to withdraw, and this other guy is going to take over for me that you appointed. But I'm going to give him instructions. And he has to carry out my instructions. And if he doesn't carry out my instructions, well, then I'm going to have to move against him. Where are you going to move against him? In their courts? Or maybe you should find out about these guys called the Admiralty. Who is the Admiralty? United States Navy, United States Marines? Marines will tell you no. Navy will be like, But I assure you that there are those that know that martial law is going on, and it's martial law that's going to deport many people. They don't technically have jurisdiction, but they do have guns and clubs, and they're like, you can't be here because this is our operating territory, and we would like you to move on the other side of this line. It's imaginary out there in the desert, but we don't want you on this side of the line. We want you on that side of the line, and we're going to pick you up and move you forcibly if that need be the case. But a lot of them are just going to run away. And a lot of them are going to find out that you're going to find out very quickly that you might want to move to Mexico with the way things are about to go, because they got silver. But the idea being is that you got to get your paperwork done and know who you are and who they are. And then once you understand some of this stuff, the news and public current events will take on a different light. You'll have a different understanding of what's happening in front of your face. Trump, not your friend. But he's not as much an enemy as the other guys, because Trump is still, as far as I can see, now this may change, but as far as I can see right now, Trump is still in the corporation. He's the head of the corporation, the foreign corporation in DC. Now, supposedly this thing's dissolved and there's a whole new thing happening, but I don't want to be part of the corporation. I want to be a free man living on the land. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm not paying you tax. I'm not sending my sons to go fight in your wars. I'm not, none of that. And you can't make me. It says so right here in your temple. I have to consent. I don't consent. But I can't just stand there on the side of the road in the middle of the night with a guy that's got a gun and say, I'm not consenting. I'm not upright. No, you got to have all that paperwork done in advance. And then you just cooperate. And then if he oversteps his bounds, you discipline the public servant. But if he's just doing his job to the best of his ability and understanding, leave the motherfucker alone. Because that same motherfucker is the one that has to go find the looters. Well, he's going to get some help, but you know what I mean. He's going to be the same guy that's supposed to, right? Who is it that went after the guys that, drive their cars in the crowds? Them's his cops. See, that's when you want them to do that, right? But you don't want them to violate your rights, but you want them to take down criminals and like people, actual crimes that are harming people, right? You don't want to defund these guys. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyhow, but you do want to know where you are and what you're doing. So anyway, the takeaways: put a mask on. No, a respirator, not just a mask. If you're going to be picking through that rubble, if you have friends and family or anybody you know, tell them put a mask on. In the intro, buy silver, silver, dimes. Get your paperwork finished. Okay, those are the 3 takeaways. All right. 100th monkey out. E pluribus unum, crime stoppers. The idea is to bite us. The idea is to keep us separated. The idea is to keep them separated. The idea is to make sure that we don't unite against them. So the idea is to trick you into thinking that we're just incompetent. We don't know what we're doing. Therefore, your city is burning to the ground because we're so incompetent. It's not on purpose. We didn't do it on purpose. Yes, they did. And there's more coming. So prepare. So that's the last takeaway. Make sure you're prepared. Grab and go bag, food, water. E pluribus unum, crime stoppers. I'll talk to you soon. I'm going to make a lot more of these because, like I said, I have so many topics that I never even cover, and I've been going for fucking almost 4 hours already. So enough already. So Happy New Year. Ha'ole makahiki ho. Season's greetings of all kinds to all of you. Stay safe, happy, and warm. And we'll talk soon. Do I need to cover anything here? No. Okay. So thanks to the people that commented. Thanks for all the people that put likes. If you haven't put a like, put a like. Not that it matters. And I'll try and make a couple of short ones for friends and family. But all right, you guys be well. And e pluribus unum, crime stoppers. We got more work to do because us crime stoppers, we're not doing so good at stopping these crimes. Anyway, e pluribus unum.